Okay, so it looks like we're live. I guess I'm the only one here at the moment, so I'm going to give everybody a little update. So we've figured out some of the tech problems that we've been having, especially with YouTube and not being able to see comments and stuff. And part of that was on me. I didn't fill out the live stream part. Like they wanted a cell phone number, and I don't own a cell phone, so sometimes that makes it very difficult with a lot of these online confirmation things. But today we are viewing the difference between MRAs, MGTOW, and PUAs. I'm waiting for Pike, AJ, and Blaise to join us. I know Blaise is here. I talked to her a few minutes ago. We just tried to do a tech test, and it didn't quite work out. I've got new headphones, as you may be able to see. Hey, there's someone.
Hello.
Hey, you with us? Do I sound better?
I can still hear the buzzing slightly in the background, but it's not nearly as bad as it was before. Nice headset, by the way.
Thank you. 15 bucks at Big Lots. It was not as advertised, so I may take it back.
Okay.
This is supposed to be Bluetooth, but I still have to have it wired in because it didn't come with a Bluetooth like thingy to click into my computer, right? Like they show that I can use it with just my computer, but then they didn't give me anything with it.
Yeah, that's not what you said it was.
All right, so I'm going to, that's not it.
And I apologize to everyone in advance. I'm cranky and tired. And I have cider, so I'm probably just going to get more interesting as the night goes on. No visuals today, just cause reasons.
How's it now?
Yeah, a little bit better.
There should be an adjustable thing on here, especially since I'm hosting.
Oh yeah, I can still hear it in the background a bit, but it's not nearly as bad. I'm glad you can hear me because I've been having trouble. I'm using just the onboard microphone instead of my clip-in mic because I've been having trouble with it all day. Right. So I tried recording a video first thing this morning, and it was meant to be like a quick, easy, off-the-cuff thing. 5 hours later, and I actually was literally screaming at it. I managed to throw something together in the end, but only through sheer grit and determination, as my primary way of recording that I wanted to use failed, then the secondary way failed, then everything just started going, and then the computer didn't, and that's just on top of just being a bit tired and stuff. I'm just a bit, yeah.
She's cranky.
I'm sleepy and cranky and
this cider is highly drinkable.
The cider is highly drinkable.
Yeah.
And we have highly drinkable
cider. Lots of alcohol.
Yes, it's 6%
nice.
As well, so it's not.
Okay,
exactly.
so I guess it's just you and me today.
Again,
it's slightly off scrumpy.
It looks it because Pike's not here and AJ
hasn't got
like, I mentioned, I talked to Pike earlier today, right? I said, you know what you're doing for today, right? And I hashtagged the WaterBearBrigade, and he favorited the comment. So I figured that was a yeah, but I'm not seeing him on here, so maybe he fell asleep again.
Maybe. I mean, to be fair to him though, it's like 4 in the morning where he is. So like, I'm moaning, but is that really that fair?
Okay, so I guess and what I've started doing for the show already is, if you notice, there's already a whole bunch of information in the live stream. right? There in the down below, it has a whole bunch of sources. It has all our contact information. For those of you who don't know, I'm Kaarn33333. This is Blaise, or go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Blaise Wilson. I am part of the Egalitarian Feminism community, also known as EgaFem. So yeah, come follow me on Twitter. I've got YouTube. I've released a video today on YouTube about some of the stuff that we're going to discuss later. This whole Sargon and Woolly palaver is highly entertaining. So I did. That's what I spent this morning trying. It was meant to be just it's a quick throw a video together as a video response, and bloody 5 hours later, and I was still like, why is this not working? So, did you want me to start with my tweet of the week?
Yes, please.
Okay. So my tweet of the week. So I've got 2 of them this week.
Okay.
So the first one is actually a tweet. So when you turn feminism into what men want feminism to be, at EgaFem, laughing my ass off. Send your squad, come on. And that was just some troll who yeah, just hugely funny. Oh no, she's not a troll actually. She actually has a genuine amount of followers. Got 1,630 followers.
That does not mean someone isn't a troll.
No, this is true. But I tend to find that proper trolls are like they've just started and they don't have many followers and stuff. It's like so I was like, so yeah, if you think that, you know, believing in women's impact and agency is, you know, what's men got to do with that? Are men not allowed to like women who are strong and powerful? For some reason they didn't reply. So the other tweet of the week is basically someone who's decided that the definition of feminist is someone who supports the right to have premarital sex. I have no idea what that has to do with feminism. I guess they've noticed a trend that most feminists maybe support premarital sex.
Okay, hold on. They're conflating the sexual revolution with feminism. The two have nothing to do with each other.
No, particularly as there's a lot of sex negative feminists out there that just don't want women to have sex ever. Because
they don't want sex with men.
Yeah, they don't want sex with men. No. This is Max, by the way, my husband.
Hi, Max.
I'm kind of background noise.
You can't hear him.
I can hear him. Your headphones are loud enough.
Are they that loud? Oh,
yeah, I'm surprised you've got your eardrums left.
So yeah, Max is with me today, just because he doesn't like being on the camera, so he's like taking.
I didn't know I was allowed to be on the camera.
You can be on the camera anytime you want.
Do I need a wig or a lipstick or something?
You can wear whatever you want.
Speedo.
You can put speedos on if you really want.
Okay. Good enough for Batman, it's good enough for me.
So yeah, those are my 2 tweets for just like 2 stupid accusations about the type of feminism that I am.
All right. Well, I was talking to this Jessica Kirby, right? And again, don't go dogpiling on anyone in our tweet of the weeks. If you happen to run into these people like randomly online, you know, I guess feel free to say something. We're not going to tell you what to say or what not to say. Just don't troll people simply because we mention how stupid they are. Something they say is stupid or whatever. But if you want to see the conversations for yourself and judge for yourself, I highly recommend that. And I made like 30 tweets to this moron, right? Explaining and re-explaining and re-explaining what I was arguing. And this person kept arguing against shit that I wasn't even talking about, that I hadn't even brought up, right? And then she says, she kind of says that it's like, well, you're implying this and you're implying that. I said, I didn't say anything of the sort, right? And
so she just strawmanned you the entire way through?
No, it wasn't even straw manning. She was just arguing shit I wasn't, right? She's like, oh, you're making all these generalizations and blah, blah, blah. First of all, just because someone makes a generalization doesn't make it wrong. If I said most men have or had a penis, that statement is correct.
No, not for people who
No,
are
no,
gender
most.
fluid.
No. He said most.
Come on,
And
gender
no,
fluid.
if you look at the majority of the people on this planet who are male, they have a penis.
Or had
The
one.
majority now.
Or have had one.
Well, yeah, but
Because we were
it's still.
discussing the other week about even women who cut off
Right.
their
So the
Yeah,
people
no,
that
that's
are
mutilation.
fluid,
And
a
that's,
small
you've already
portion of
covered that in a
population.
different video. I saw it. It's, but no, it's quite a true statement. Yeah.
Well, yeah, as you're taking part in this one, that means you don't have to watch them all later.
I'm not going to be taking part in all of it. I got to go cook you dinner in a bit.
Yeah.
Some frozen pizza. Okay.
You see the thumb mark on his forehead. This is after he's been at work all day and I've been like messing about.
How can I see anything?
That's something.
Now
You see me, I don't see you.
No camera today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you said you see this. No, I don't. But anyways, right?
Just picture someone who's very pale and bald, and that's me.
Okay. Very pale and bald. So Patrick Stewart, and you're both British.
Exactly. You picture Patrick Stewart's literally the same shaped head. I've got the same shaped head as him.
Without the knighthood. Okay. So what I started doing with this Jessica Kirby is I started doing the same thing she did right back at her, right? Just to drive in how stupid her argument was. So I said, why do you think all men should be murdered? Why do you think all men should be dead? Blah, blah, blah. And I kept going on like that. She goes, when did I say that? I said, well, you implied it, blah, blah. And I kept going on. I said, now see? I said, see how annoying that is? That someone's arguing against shit you're not even remotely saying? And she goes, oh, well, that's childish. I said, I was doing it to make a point. You did it without even knowing it. Which one is more childish?
That doesn't stop it from being childish just because there's a point.
Well, you're allowed to be childish sometimes.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
The
You're being childish, you.
I'm always childish, but it gets the point across. And if it gets them laughing as well, then it's even better because when you get people to laugh.
I don't think she was laughing.
She probably wasn't, but you know.
She was quite mad that I did the same thing to her, right? Because she wasn't bothering to read what I'd actually typed, right? She just read part of it and then started going off on a rant for like half a day. And I'm like, I'm sick of explaining shit to someone who's not going to bother paying attention. Either you're in the argument or you're not. Either pay attention to what's actually being argued or you're just wasting everybody's time, right? So the last thing she said was, you really can't let go of those stereotypes, can you? And my response to her was, I don't stereotype. I just type so fast you think it's in stereo. So that's
like
my
when you got
tweet of the week. Now, I personally thought that was pretty clever of me.
That was quite funny. Are you blocked now, by any chance?
That's a good question. I don't think so. We'll see.
You haven't checked.
Nope, I'm not blocked.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Well, you might be dealing with a narcissist.
I could be muted.
Oh.
And so they don't want to.
Yeah,
they don't want to unfriend you because then they get less followers. But
well, this
certainly
is Twitter,
I've
so
counted
there's
people before like that.
This person isn't following me.
But you're following them, right? Or
no. I just saw her comment reply to it.
Max doesn't tweet.
I don't tweet. I don't even
Facebook
Facebook anymore.
You know what? There's an upside to not tweeting. That means you're not a twit.
That's what I say, and nobody finds that funny. No one finds it funny when I say it. You know, it's like I get looked at like I'm doing dad jokes.
God, why are you two in this conversation? Just this is not going to end well.
Why? Because it's going to be dad jokes back and forth.
Well, since we're on the topic of dad jokes already, I'm going to do a little screen share. Let's see.
Have you explained this week's topic and what we're doing?
Yes. So what I'm screen sharing now, since we're on dad jokes, is a picture of a penis in a desert.
Well, you see, you know how aliens need to land on Earth, right? Well, some of them have got a really sick sense of humor.
Oh, that is quite amusing. In a totally pure way.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to divide this up. I'm going to talk about one, and then Blaise is going to talk about another, and then we're just going to keep going like that.
Yeah, I think it would be nice if we have a discussion on the two, but if you lead on one and then I'll lead on the next, then so not necessarily just excluding each other.
Right. So an MRA, for those of you who don't know, is a men's rights activist. Men's rights activists, it's pretty much what it sounds like. They're advocating for men's rights. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? For short, they're called MRAs. There's several different groups, right, that are technically MRAs. There's a fathers' rights group that's up in Canada that try to fight for equal shared parenting, and feminists completely knocked that down when the courts wanted to come to the table to make it more amicable for everybody.
I saw that recently, and I thought that was absolutely disgusting of those other feminists. So I am a feminist, but I thought that was, I mean, the whole point of feminism is equality, and that's kind of, how can you claim to be for equality when, you know, it's well, like...
That's the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
For those who saw last week's show, I pointed out that not once has there ever been a campaign or a protest from feminists for men's rights. And I use this to show that feminism has never been for equality, because it's been over 120 years. In 2014, hold on. In 2014, instead of fighting for a campaign to help men stop, like to aid men to reduce the amount of suicides that men commit, right, or males commit, because there are boys who commit suicide too, or to reduce how many men have work-related accidents or deaths, right, which are male issues, since both are above the 80 percentile, right? Instead of this, feminists in 2014 bitched about how men sit on transportation. They bitched about a guy's shirt and said it was sexist and keeps women out of STEM. I mean, seriously, if a shirt keeps you out of STEM, you have no fucking business being in STEM. It's that fucking simple. If a shirt somebody is wearing is going to stop you from getting into STEM, you have no business.
I'm just going to point out that this is the guy who landed a probe on a comet, a moving comet.
Yes, a comet going the same speed as the fucking probe and landed it softly.
So
I'm not going to be concerned with a shirt.
So I might own some of that fabric, and I might be considering making a new dress. Because to me, that fabric is the epitome of, like, here's something amazing and wonderful, and you're moaning about shit. It's small-minded.
It's your way of sticking the finger up at
stupid.
See, here's what I would have done if that was me, right?
Are small-minded, and
you know what? I'm going to show a picture of this damn shirt. I'm going to show a picture so people realize how fucking stupid, like, their complaint is.
I would also like to point out that I don't have an issue with feminists not advocating for men's rights, because that's what MRAs are for. However, what I object to is when they actually fight against equality, when they're supposed to be about equality. How can you claim you're about equality when you're stopping equal parenting being the default in a court? That doesn't mean that you're always going to have equality, that you're always going to have equal parenting. Because if one of the parents is an abuser, then that should be taken into account, whether it's the woman or the guy. So I think that, you know, whether you're an opportunity feminist or an outcome feminist, either way, this is fairly demonstrable. And I totally stand against those feminists, even though I am a feminist, and this is how the impact.
Yeah, the problem, and I've pointed this out before, is that the term feminism or feminist has no meaning. Because unless you have to actually
Max is not a feminist.
I'm not a feminist. I'm not any. I'm not any. I don't want. I don't like any kind of like. I like to be who I am at that moment. I don't think there's any much point in leaving myself. But the thing is, it becomes such a meaningless word because there's so many different versions and they all mean so many different things that you need to stick.
It means everything.
Basically, the prefix that you attach to it is more important than the suffix.
Whether you're a radical or intersectional or egalitarian or liberal, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys see this
crazy?
picture?
That's
yeah.
Okay. I love that photo of him. He's basically got his great shirt on. He's got the thumbs up. He's a proper nerd.
And the tattoos.
But he's a proper nerd. He's done something pretty amazing. And all women can say is, and to be honest, it's an excuse of why they're not in the STEM field, why they can't be bothered. It's rather than say I'm just not interested in that. It's like they don't want to admit it, so they only want to then turn around and say
being in STEM is hard.
No.
As a woman in STEM, it's not an easy subject.
Exactly, but rather than say they want the challenge, they just want to moan and say, "Oh, I'm scared away from it. I'm told I'm not allowed to," rather than. I think that
guy's wearing a shirt that I don't approve of, so I can't be there.
Like,
okay, let me point out something about this shirt for a minute, right?
It was made by a female friend.
It's fucking awesome. Hang on, sorry, is this
what the women on this shirt are wearing?
Are we allowed to swear?
Huh?
What the house rules on swearing?
Freedom of speech, bitch.
Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent. Can I? Oh no, I'm not going to just come up with a load of expletives.
Hey, like I always say, right? Twat waffles are cuntastic. I actually came up with that. But what this woman is wearing, right, on the shirt, is more than I've seen women wear at the beach. She's literally wearing more clothing than I've seen a lot of girls at the beach in a conservative state.
So this shirt was made by his female friend for
him.
You can buy this shirt from her. You can actually buy these shirts.
He did that to honor her, and the so-called feminist reporter had a problem with that. Like, why would you wear a shirt like this? Don't you realize this makes it harder for women? This makes it harder for... See, I would have come back, right, wearing a different shirt when he went to apologize, right? Because he was in tears, and I don't know why he was
more objectional. That would have been funny. But the poor guy, when he apologized, he genuinely broke down. He was so mortified. And
you could tell that the women who made him basically going after him, they were probably smiling and laughing. And
it was horrible.
It's a victim card 101. But here's the thing. I would have come back in an apology wearing a shirt where all the women, nothing but hentai bitches being medical raped, man. I'd have been like, all right, because this is like what 14-year-old Japanese girls like. So here, I'm wearing a shirt for women.
I will also point out that the age of consent in Japan is 14. So if you have a 14-year-old girl on Japanese girl on your shirt,
it's legal.
They can't really complain because she's actually technically above the late age.
Well, hold on. The age of the consent in most of the states in America is 16 years old, right? Now, if I'm 19 years old and I have sex with a 16-year-old, that's still rape.
Apparently,
unless you've got 16, then it's
still rape. Now, here's the thing. The law says you have to be within 2 years.
If she's 16, then she's above consent.
She's of the age of consent, but it's still statutory rape because of his age, right? Now, here's how it works. The state says that you have to be, as long as they're under 18, you have to be within 2 years of their age. So if she's 16, you can be 18. But if she's 16 and you're 19, that's at that point it's statutory.
How many states has that?
That's Ohio, right?
Okay.
That's just Ohio. And I actually read that straight out of the Ohio law code book, right?
I really doubt if it was.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. No, it wouldn't surprise me.
In the public's interest to prosecute.
Yeah, okay, probably not, but it still might.
There was a guy in the paper 2 years ago. He was 25. She was 16. He went to jail for like 9 years, prison for 9 years.
Yeah, but that's a much bigger age gap than.
Yeah, but it's still technically right because in the UK the age of consent is 16, right? You can sleep with whoever you like as long as you're above legally above the age of 16.
But when two 15-year-olds sleep together, they tend not to bother.
No, that's illegal in the state.
Well,
it's illegal, but they don't bother. They don't normally bother doing it.
They do.
There's just no point because they know they're going to be doing it.
Anyway, so we've done the definition. What do MRAs believe, and what don't they believe that people often think they do believe in? What are the myths of MRAs?
Okay, so some of the myths of MRAs is they're just woman haters, right? They're misogynists.
I hear that a lot, and I've seen a lot of people on Twitter block anyone that they even suspect is an MRA.
Yeah, but it's become an insult now. It's like if you want to block someone, you get rid of an MRA. Anyone who brings up a reasonable argument, if you disagree with them, MRA, I can.
Okay, first of all, anyone who questions feminism is a misogynist. And if you don't believe me, look at my Twitter arguments. Every time I argue with a feminist, the first thing they say, I don't even have to argue with them. I just have to make a valid point, and the first thing they say is, you're a misogynist.
But at the same time, I have genuinely had femophobes and misogynists and had conversations with them. And
YouTube, you know what? This is an interesting. I'm going to bring up. Actually, I'm surprised this wasn't your tweet of the week.
They haven't actually stated that they're MRAs, but to be fair, or
some of them have. Some of them have. We know at least one who's a prominent MRA. She's from the Honey Badger Radios. I was hoping to have her on today. Hannah Wallen. She said that today she couldn't do it because she had to do something. I'm not going to say what that something was. Oh, hello, Bam Bam. I'm not going to say what that something was because it was in a PM, and I don't know if this was private information or not, so I'm just going to assume it is. But she had an argument with you soon after our last episode, if I'm not mistaken. She said egalitarian feminism is still bigoted. It's just less bigoted. If I'm quoting her correctly.
I don't even remember. I have that argument day in, day out with so many people, and I wouldn't have recognized this person.
You don't recognize Helen?
No, I don't follow all of the Honey Badgers. In fact, I don't normally listen to them because they're just their stuff is really long. Like Karen Strong, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, Karen Strong usually makes 20 to 40-minute videos, but so does that other British. I can't something Plum. Crap, I have to look up his name every time. Neil Plum or something like that. You guys know what I'm talking about.
But at the end of the day, you can accuse Egafem of whatever. Look at our actions. Look at what we promote. Look at the things that we write. Just because we've got feminism in our name, stop being bloody femophobic and accusing people of things.
Again, the problem people have is that they're too busy looking at the label. It's like if you label yourself something, then you are therefore labeling yourself with everything that people have done under that label. So if some people have done some really terrible things under that name, I mean, it's like if someone said, "Oh, I'm a National Socialist," you know, and it's like, well, it doesn't mean really anything, but that is the same connotations as being a member of the Nazi Party, and that's a. I
was going to bring that up.
The labels are meaningless because it's. And I've got this thing called the fallacy of words, and we're going to probably talk about it in one of our rambles that we talk about, because I think it basically, words only mean what we attribute them to.
When's pizza?
Oh, I got to put it in the oven, but I'll have my little rant then, and I'll go and I'll make us dinner because I'm hungry too. Okay. But words are false. They only work. Words only work if you ascribe something to them, and it's kind of.
And when people have different mental models of the same word.
Yes, I use this for the religious argument. Is when people say God, it's like, well, the God in your head is going to be different than the God in my head. You know, if you've got a different religion, the gods are going to be different. But the term.
Even if you've got the same religion, your gods.
Exactly. That's exactly correct.
Not necessarily. A Catholic and a Protestant may have very, very different views on. I mean, they're still within the religion Christianity, right? They're different denominations, but they may have vastly different. Like Catholicism is usually like really guilt heavy, right?
Yeah, I was raised Roman Catholic. It was not very good. But no,
every sputter is sacred.
I was raised Church of England,
Yeah.
so we're not supposed to be together.
No, I don't care. But the thing is even then, among you got two people who are, you could be Protestants, whatnot. The God they got in their head is going to be different from each other, because it's everyone creates neural connections, and every single connection they create is going to be different into range. You know, they don't connect. No two brains are going to be the same. So whatever we experience, whatever we ascribe, is going to be different. And so words, by their fundamental nature, aren't going to be the same. It's like you use the word apple, for instance. If I said apple to you, you're going to have all sorts of experiences that you've had with apples. Apple pie, apple crumble.
What colour is the apple in your head?
What taste, you know, if there's a worm in it, if an apple fell on your head.
There's what color is that
experience.
Apple? Yeah.
You know, apple phone, apple, you know, it's kind of...
Yellow?
Exactly.
It's kind of crazy because... And what you were saying earlier about this conversation you had with this lady who was very critical, like she wasn't having the conversation you were having, because she already had in her head everything planned out of who you were, what you were doing. So when you were having that conversation with her, it was almost like you're having a conversation with someone who wasn't there. So she'd already decided who you were and what your agenda was, and so she could talk to you from that perspective, you know. But words are false. The words don't mean much, and
well, they do mean stuff, but they don't necessarily.
We've overcomplicated, and there's a whole language, legalese. It's a way of confusing people and getting around.
Legalese is very, very, very precise.
Yes, but it's also have different. The words they use have very different connotations to the words we have. Whatever different meanings.
There's
the words we have.
There's different kind of sets of words too, right? There's the general all-purpose use words, right? And then when you get into various professions, you have what's called jargon. Jargon is technical words within a field, right? So if I say to you, right, a disease, and you look up the word disease in the dictionary, and I've actually come across this definition, it says any unusual condition. Well, if you're black in an all-white community, that's an unusual condition. And if you went to the hospital and said, I have a disease, they'd look at you like
what
you're
stupid. You're not at ease, you know, what not
I think it means
not normal, essentially, and that's
right. And I hear people use the word disease outside of its actual medical context all the time, and they try to use it in a medical context, which makes it wrong. Like I keep hearing people say a genetic disease. There is no such fucking thing as a genetic disease. Now, there are genetic disorders, but there's no such thing as a genetic disease. Right? I keep hearing people refer to schizophrenia as a disease. And I have 5 textbooks I can get out right now that'll have it labeled as a mental disorder. In fact, my anatomy and physiology textbook has on the exact same page, but on the left side of that page, it'll have schizophrenia, and it says mental disorder. And on the same page, but on the right-hand side, it has Parkinson's, and it lists it as a disease. And these are the first words after the name of the condition.
Because Parkinson's is something that you develops over time. You are not born with it. It's not genetically in your. With schizophrenia, you can be born with it.
No, actually, schizophrenia has a genetic order to it. They just don't know what it is. But one is a mental disorder, and one is a neurological disease.
So getting back on topic,
right?
So another thing I've seen MRAs often accused of is not achieving anything. They're just there to bitch and moan about feminism.
How can they achieve anything when feminists keep knocking them down? There's a whole lot more feminists out there
for lots of things.
They have bullshit propaganda.
So Willie Bumblebee has done a video. She pulled it out of one of her live streams where she has this idea of the grievance gravy train, where prominent feminists and MRAs on both sides don't want to solve root cause issues because then they'll be out of a job. It's like it's the people who cry victimization when they victimize themselves and then try and get money out of it. And I'm not saying, it's just a theory, it's just a concept.
Is
but
this
it's
the
one
video that you wanted me to post?
No, this is just something I've just mentioned just now because I
Okay.
didn't know I was going to be covering it. But since seeing that, I've actually noticed quite a lot. So I'm really massive at the moment on a petition, which I'll pull up and try and share. So I'm really going big on this petition at the moment, which is why I just want any excuse to talk about it mostly. So I think that women's agency and impact should be equally recognised to men. At the moment, you know, a woman legally can't rape a man under the UK law. They can only sexually assault them, which is not a serious crime. It's not considered serious. It's much less, and it's just not taken seriously. And the results of this is when you're trying to collect the data on this, just women on male rape is not taken seriously, despite the fact that actually they have a similar impact. So I am massively promoting, this is the source of feminism I do. I am the sort of feminist who believes in women. I believe in women's impact and agency, and I'm willing to do things about it, to remove our privileges, to make us equal to men, so that we're taken equally seriously to men. You know, if I don't have equal responsibility to men, why should I be taken seriously in a career? So, oh, thank you. I have more cider.
So do I.
So yeah, unfortunately, the signatures have slowed so much.
Well, yeah, because you've reached everybody who knows you.
Yeah, so
it might pick up again. This
so
is
I was hoping that someone like Sargon or some of the others might pick this up and do a video on it. Instead, Sargon's doing a different petition that he thinks is more important because he's well aware of this. I know he's well aware of this.
He may not believe that there's anything to gain from it.
Exactly. He might not think that he has anything to gain, but if he believes in men and in equality and helping victims, if he believes in standing against feminism.
That's not what I mean. I mean, he may not think that there's enough people who care. So if he pushes this, its momentum may not get anywhere.
If he doesn't push this, then he's not giving people a chance to push this.
That's true too.
Yeah. And to be fair, I'm being completely selfish. I don't know what Sargon's thinking. I don't know. I don't have any control over him. I'm being completely selfish when I'm being a bit annoyed at him for doing this stupid SJW course petition instead of this one. Well, I'm like, why don't you just promote this one?
You've got several months. Though.
Yeah, and I'm being really selfish about it. But
well, you know what?
Just hold
on. So let me play devil's advocate.
Here is something. Well, no, here's something that genuinely could help.
Right.
And there's another example where someone has. I made a picture. I'll stop screen sharing. I'll find the picture. I'll show you the picture. And I'll show you what they did to it because I'm really quite pissed off about this. Where's my picture?
To play devil's advocate, though, with the petition he's trying to do, right? The whole stop the social just warrior.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a
colleges.
bit.
So he's to get a ball rolling, right? To really cause change, you're going to cause the most change if you start at the beginning rather than the middle, right? So how to put this? It's ripples in a pond, people. It's ripples in a pond. The bigger the ripples, right? Even the tiniest pebble can make big waves, right? In a pond. But if the pond's small, you're not going to have so many ripples. So you got to start people when they're young, right? Because people who are 80 years old right now, they never gave a crap about littering and shit, right? It was never taught to them when they were young. People my generation, I put little trash things in my pockets. My car's loaded with more trash than I'll ever leave outside, right? I don't throw little wrappers on the ground. I'll keep them in my car until it's time to clean out my car, and I throw it all away because I won't litter. Because we were taught from a very early age, littering is bad. We're polluting the place. We're basically turning our own neighborhoods into trash, place.
I found my example.
Okay.
So this is I made this. I made this image from scratch. It took me ages. So it has everything you need to know on it, including the petition. So an MRA who is massively against feminism, and he makes a big deal about being against feminism, that's basically all he tweets around, did this to it. Can you still see that?
Nope. He did
this to it. So he removed the petition from the image that I did. He has actively removed the thing that is going to help people and victims, and for women to get agency and for male victims to get justice. This is what he did.
That's what Sargon actively did.
No, not Sargon. Sorry. Just to make this was not Sargon. This was someone else, and I don't really want to name and shame them, but if you follow them on Twitter, you've probably seen this. But I am so livid. I was so livid.
Not Sargon. So, all right.
So
I just want to make that clear.
But when feminists say that some MRAs just want to bitch and moan, I've started, and once I had Willy Bumblebee mention some things as well, and I started looking into it, and this happened. I'm starting to wonder if sometimes these feminists have a point, and that is abhorrent. I really don't want them to. I thought MRAs were better than feminists.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this.
But I take the label on knowing how toxic it is, and I thought that MRAs were better. I really did.
Believe that.
Are you sitting on the dog?
Yeah. I do believe that the honey badgers actually want to change things. If you've ever listened to Alison Tiemann on one of her rants, when she starts ranting, right, even Karen Strong gets scared a little. At least it seems that way.
Oh, good.
Right? Because she, is screaming vitriol at the fucking mic, right, saying how horrible these people are. And, just bitching them out for being heinous, horrible pieces of shit. She legitimately wants this shit to stop. Because she actually loves men, right?
There's a question in chat for you, Khan.
Yeah, I saw some. Okay, just a question about the psychology book. Which one is this? This wasn't. Well, I have that. I don't have my psychology book anymore. It pretty much fell into too many pieces, and then my apartment, when I had one, flooded, and the book just got destroyed. However, this is my Anatomy and Physiology textbook, 7th edition. Do I even have it here? Hold on. Because I mentioned... Yeah, I took it back downstairs. It is my Anatomy and Physiology textbook that I was talking about that had the psychology, the disorder on one side of the same page, and the Parkinson's on the other side that said it was Parkinson's is a disease, schizophrenia is a mental disorder. So that was my actual Anatomy and Physiology textbook. If you ever have a medical terminology textbook, it's in there as well. It is in every psychology textbook I've ever seen. It's also had that. Except for my human sexuality textbook, because it's not about human sexuality. Right, schizophrenia, I mean. So, there's that.
What would schizophrenia become under?
Say again?
What's that?
What would schizophrenia become under?
That would become mental disorder.
Mental disorders, okay.
Yeah, so like OCD, schizophrenia.
Basics in psychology.
Yeah.
That's the book he's just grabbed out.
Yeah, I don't think it goes into enough.
No, it should. It should. So look at it. If that's the textbook you have, then I'd look it up.
Yeah, in its index, it doesn't even say mental disorders. It's like it's got mental and then age, concepts, images, representations.
It should have it somewhere in the book.
Psychological disorders, maybe disorders. Actually, that's a thought.
So yeah, look up disorders and see if it mentions schizophrenia. Okay, and about this petition, you can only sign it if you're a...
Yeah, just to bring, the petition is UK only, UK citizen only. But please, if you can't sign it, do share it to your UK followers.
I'm glad you posted it.
Because
Blaise?
If we get to 100,000 signatures, the government might debate it. It will open the discussion. It will get them thinking.
Cool.
I know. I mean, it's not just.
I want to point this out. I don't
believe
believe Sargon is a men's rights activist. I think he does fight for men's rights, but I don't think he's an MRA or identifies as one.
He makes it very clear that he's not one thing or the other, and I agree with him on that, because I don't see the point. It's like it's like, to be honest, if you see an injustice, if you see any injustice, you should speak out about it. The problem is if you attribute yourself to one clan, then you start to become blind to others because it doesn't fit your clan, if that makes sense.
Well, I understand that, but there are people who are focused on a particular social aspect, and I don't have a problem with that, right? I don't consider myself an MRA. I consider myself an egalitarian because women's rights are as important to me as male rights, right?
Well, apparently
they're both equally important to me, and I fought for both throughout my life. So I don't just, and I'm not just focused on the sex, but also races and classes and whatnot, right? I think everybody should be equal. I don't okay, here's a perfect example. The affluenza kid should be locked up for no less than 20 years.
I don't know who that is. But yeah, okay, Sargon is his own individual. I am totally being selfish, and just I want him to promote what I want him to promote, because he has a lot of followers. If he didn't have a lot of followers, I wouldn't care. I'm being completely selfish and demanding and narcissistic, and it is just me, and I'm trying to change the world for the best, and it just pisses me off when people aren't helping me. So yeah, this psychology book has an entire chapter on the development of gender.
This is called Basics in Psychology by Barbara Woods, and this is the second edition. I've had this since I was about 18. Wow. And I'm in my early 30s now, so it's an old book.
You've been interested in psychology for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to read that chapter later.
But I'm just thinking through. It doesn't.
I just glanced at it, and it does say sex and gender, and it claims that they're different. I just glanced at it. So
sex and gender
definitely going to be an interesting.
Gender's more, although it has, biological connotations. There is a social aspect of gender.
Do you know where the word gender comes from?
No, but you're going to tell me, right?
Yeah.
They have the same root word, genitals. And gen. Gender, genitals.
So,
what does AL mean? It means pertaining to. Pertaining to genitals. That's gender right there. So someone showed a picture. Someone had a picture online on Twitter, right? And it said, "My genitals don't define my gender." And I'm like, yeah, they do.
Yeah, they kind of do. I mean, that's not to say that. So I believe that gender has multiple layers, of which your genitalia is only one.
Yeah, you have the head of your penis, the shaft, and the testicles.
But your mental and your chemical and your social state may not align. So I totally think that you could be transsexual. And that your genitalia might not denote how. And I say this particularly as a woman who has a fairly male-dominated brain, as in I'm very much thinking, not feeling. On the Myers-Briggs scale, I'm much more logical. I'm not very good at womaning.
See, I have a problem with all sorts of things you just said. I don't think there's such a thing as a female brain. I don't think there's a such thing as female thinking. And if you think more like men stereotypically, I don't think that's an accurate description. I think that's.
I think this is a good topic for another day. However, yes, have we done MRA enough? And shall we move on to MGTOWs?
Hold on, I want to read this comment. There are crazies in every group. If you don't speak out against the crazies in your group, then the crazies use you to justify their position. Thank you, Torva. Okay, so that's actually a
really good comment.
But okay, so I have yet to run into a crazy MRA.
Oh, there's plenty.
They're out there.
Plenty of those out there.
I'm not saying they aren't out there. I'm saying I haven't seen them.
There are some MRAs who are just as crazy as some of the extremist feminists.
Okay, but with MRAs, I was going to point out, with MRAs, there's the red pill rage, and I suppose it's also to do with MGTOW, but that's a kind of like they've just realised that the world has been shitting on them, and they're pissed off, and I know that because I've kind of been through that. Like
should we move on to MGTOW? Would you like to define MGTOW, my love?
Well, hold on.
Men going their own way. It's not complicated.
I'm talking to my husband, not Khan. So.
It's not. Well, it's not a difficult one. It's men going their own way. It's men, in a way, deciding, you know what? I'm gonna take my own self into my own hands. I'm not gonna define it by anyone else but what I want to do, which when you think about male drive, the thing is male drive, one of the major aspects, we cannot ignore human sexuality because it's basically what kept us going as a species. But one of the major...
Khan is also trying to speak.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'm being shushed now.
Before we go on to the MGTOW, right, I want to say something. You can be an MRA, a MGTOW, and a PUA. For those who don't know, that's pickup artist. You can be all three of those, right? But it's still segmented. Your MRA is still going to be segmented from your MGTOW and segmented from your PUA. Now, the red pill is primarily MGTOW. I don't hear a lot of MRAs talking about the red pill unless they're mostly speaking out on the on the MGTOW subject.
It's a fair point.
Mostly heard of it as a MGTOW term.
Yeah.
So red pill as opposed to blue pill, which is a reference to the Matrix.
Yeah. Right. Which is a rip-off of the Invisibles, and I found out recently.
Which is also a YouTube channel. The red pill channel, right, is a MGTOW primarily channel. Now they may mention men's rights, right, because that's a lack of rights is why a lot of people go to MGTOW. Now, we had this discussion about marital rape and what men and women get out of marriage, right? And primarily, men get nothing out of marriage. There's nothing in marriage that men don't get outside of marriage. So there's absolutely no benefit, like from a legal or social standpoint, that men get from marriage.
I disagree that men get absolutely nothing.
Can you name one thing that they get inside of a marriage that they don't? Not talking like an actual thing, like... when women get married to men, right? I'm talking, yes, this is a generalization because it's most of the population, right? Generally, men earn more than women, right? So when a woman marries a man, she gets half of his stuff, half of his property. When the divorce happens, she takes more than just her stuff. She takes half of his stuff. That's why if you marry, here's a
I'm not saying that it's equal. I'm not saying that there aren't particular benefits for women, but I'm just saying that men, it's not entirely one side. Otherwise, men just completely.
Okay.
But
so what do they get?
You have a higher chance that your children will be yours, which was the main reason to get married. You get that. It's a much more stable relationship. It's harder to just walk away from. So you get a bit more. You get that commitment. And
I would challenge those assertions. I would. In today's society, I don't think that's any longer true.
It might not be as true as it used to be, but I definitely think that men certainly get something out of marriage, and it's not completely devoid.
Can you give me something tangible, a legal right that they get? Because if you notice, divorce.
Well, in the UK, in the UK, if you're married, then you get extra tax benefits if your partner's not working. Also, just mostly the main reason that Max and I got married was mostly for the legal benefits that we both get. So, for example, if I died, then he would immediately be the main benefactor of my will, considering we don't have one at present. So, yeah, to us, it's just a piece of paper.
Okay,
we still love each other. Whether we had the piece of paper or not is irrelevant to us and how we live.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to stipulate that that's important. The importance to you is purely legal, while other people, I think, marriage is considerably more. But before I forget for a fourth time, the petition you have, can you please put it in our Twitter box?
In the Twitter box.
Yeah, we're having a party here, apparently. I can't get any quiet. Good luck. Pike.
I had pizza.
Yeah, so I still have the thing up. So while you have it there, I'm going to post it down below right now, so nobody has to wait for the end of the show.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Did you bring the?
That's
It's under the table. It's under where we had it. Like it's the double piece. So he's going to put his headphones on, but he needs the splitter, which is currently underneath the Xbox, while we were using it the other day to do Batman.
Yeah, the pedophile superhero guy.
Yeah, the pedophile superhero Batman. So I'm collecting information.
Down below.
Thank you. So
Good luck,
I'm collecting some evidence for a series I'm doing called Equal Play. So we're playing video games, capturing the evidence so that I can do some gendered analysis on video games. Totally. Well, basically, it's going to be similar to Anita Sarkeesian, but actually by a gamer.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so getting back on track and out of the damn rabbit hole.
I have no idea what it is.
Yes. So this bit here. You don't need the rest of that.
I don't need the rest of that.
Okay, so hang on a sec.
Surplus wires, okay.
Okay, give me the end of that bit.
Let me sit down first.
Okay. Sorry, we're sticking things into holes.
Yeah, so mute your mic so I can
we're
talk.
also plugging things in.
Okay, so with MGTOWs, right? I've run into some crazies MGTOWs too. I was following Monkey Feces something or other. And
Turd-flinging monkey.
Yes, thank you. I was watching some of his videos, and he made some comments that were just, I mean, they were just flat out wrong. And I corrected him on this. And then he goes, well, if you want to blame this, blah, 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 blame the environmentalists for GE having, like, paying almost no taxes, right? And all that in reimbursements. First of all, there's no such thing as $4 billion in environmental refunds from the government. There's no such fucking thing. There's no way any company is going to get that much refund on environmental initiatives. Okay, so he was just anti-environmentalism on that one. And it's just, he's like, well, you don't know anything about economics. I do. I know considerably more than most people think I do, which is why I brought up the factors of production when I was talking about women. Like, we're talking thousands of years ago, before Mesopotamia, before the dawn of civilization, right? And why women took up the role in the home for thousands of years, because while they're pregnant, they can't produce as much, they can't do as much, because for the factors of production, you need land, labor, and capital. Well, you can't have any labor if you don't have any people. So, I mean, in societies needed people because babies kept dropping off all the time. Why? Because there was no prenatal care, there was no postnatal care, they didn't have modern medicine, they were basically winging it to start with, right? So if you had your third or fourth kid before they finally survived to adolescence, and then from adolescence you still had a low rate, because if your kid wanders off, falls all down the cliff, hits his head, there are no fucking doctors, right? You just have to hope and wait. And when you have that, you're going to have a lot less survival rate, right? So you have high death rates, you need really high birth rates. And if you don't have high birth rates, so men took up, okay, they're pregnant, they're producing our kids, they're producing our children and our offspring who are going to take care of us when we're old, because we're not going to be able to walk around and hunt animals like we used to, right? So the old and the women took care of the children and each other, while the men went off and did the work and risked their lives and limbs to bring food, shelter, and all these things. And from those gender roles that were based off of necessity, right? That's and these gender roles stopped existing, right? So we no longer, the reason marriage was so important in Mesopotamia, if a woman cheated on her,
I'd like to add to this, for people to keep in mind that what you're discussing here has been 90% of our human history, our genetics, of this since the Homo sapiens arrived. Pre-agriculture has been 90%. The hunter-gatherer section, 90% of our history. So it is hugely relevant what you're saying. Just to put that into perspective on how influential this is on our genes. So sorry, carry on.
Okay. Well, that's true, but we're also a sexually dimorphic species. We also have different body types. You have your, let's see if I can do this right off the top of my head. You have your, fuck, I can't. If you asked me yesterday, I'd name you all three types. But you have your fat types, right? And then you have your skinny guys who can't gain any weight no matter how much food they shove in their mouth.
It's the endomorph, the ectomorph, and the mesomorph.
Thank you so much. Yes, the endomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph.
Ectomorph.
Ectomorph. I said one twice. Okay. The ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph, right? And then the third type is the sailor, tough man, like sheer muscle guy. Now, the reason the fat type, like me, the reason we survive is because when there's little food, we got storage capacity. Literally, your body stores food as lipids in fat cells. This is medical fact, right? You can't get rid of fat cells unless you physically remove them, right? Now, when fat cells have too much lipids in them because the body has no more places to put it, the fat cell stretches, right? And it doesn't go back, right? Like the more you stretch it, the less likely it is to go back, which is how you have people who have like this really long arm fat, right? Because they had fat all up on their arms. And now that fat is gone and the skin is just sitting there with all the fat cells in that arm of the skin, right? And like if you ever seen the movie Click, he's flapping his belly flap, right? And knowing his ex-wife that he just found out was his ex-wife. And the reason he has that is because they sucked out all the lipids out of his fat cells. And then now, so the fat cells are sitting there empty, but they're still sitting there. So all that storage capacity is when the food is real low, right? Especially during the wintertime. People like me survive. Now, people like the muscle men survive for obvious reasons. They're stronger, right? They can do more work, right? So they can protect themselves rather than to have to storage the food in their bodies on their own, right? And the skinny guys, they don't require a whole lot of food in order to move, right? So they're more energy efficient. But when food is scarce, those are the first motherfuckers to die. So all of these things in our genetics have propelled us to survive a multitude of different conditions. Now, a lot of people are more than one body type, right? I can't get any fat in my arms or my legs or my ass or my head.
We're once again getting a little bit off topic for a bit too long.
Okay.
I'd like to if you could wrap this up quickly, and then I'd like to get back to MGTOW's the definition. Have we covered the definition enough, or should we move on to what they believe?
I'm gonna speed up the talk conversation here. Okay, so going back to Mesopotamia.
I'm just gonna say I'm finding what you're saying interesting. So carry on. Yeah.
Okay. So speeding up to Mesopotamia, right? If a woman cheated on her husband, she got death. If a man cheated on his wife, he got a punishment, but it was never near any severe. Here's the reason for this.
He got a new wife.
Did you hear about the blonde who got pregnant? She demanded a DNA test to see if the baby was really hers. Did you guys get that?
Yeah, we're giggling. It's just because we're chewing on our pizza.
Yeah, we're eating pizza.
I didn't want to have too much of the chewing on the channel, so I've been
I don't think he cares. I think it adds character to the channel.
I don't really care.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I don't mind, but I particularly don't. I just wanted to know if you guys got that joke. All right, so the woman obviously knows it's her kid, right? Except for maybe King Solomon case.
I have seen someone ask if twins take 18 months. If the gestation period for twins is 18 months.
No.
I know, but I've seen I've seen that question.
That's funny though. I like that. And did you hear about Divorce Barbie? She comes with all the Ken stuff. So yeah, so to make a man pay for a child that's not his, and he is paying for it because he's only the one who goes out and works back in Mesopotamia days, because she was always, you know, as the feminists say, barefoot and pregnant. But there was an honor to being pregnant too, right? Especially if you go back to, I believe, the Aztec civilization. Now, I'd have to get out my history book and one of its 5 different pieces, and actually open up to find out which one it was, because it might have been the Mayans. I do tend to get a little. I'm pretty sure it was the Aztecs. And what it was if your son became a hero, right? You got special privileges in the village, depending on how much of a war hero your son was, right? So that was the pride that a lot of women took in getting pregnant and giving birth and stuff, and raising a really strong, because it was the woman who raised him, who basically made him the man, because all these other guys were going out getting themselves killed, fighting over these land and disputes. And land produced wealth, produced resources, produced everything that they came home with, right? Like if anyone ever watches Hagar the Horrible, right?
That's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, he comes home, right? Like he's this Viking guy, and he's always ransacking these castles and things. And he goes, "Honey, guess what I brought you today?" "What?" "A castle." So he gave his wife a castle in one of the comic strips. I thought it was funny, because that's why he went to war, to bring her stuff. And all he wanted was food. That was his thing. He just wants food. So, you know, it always, so there's this huge thing on men, right? What makes a man is you have to work really, really hard. You have to provide for all the ones you love, right? Because you're expected to. You can't be weak. If you show any weakness, you're dead, because other people will see that weakness and you're up for the slaughter, basically. If a woman sees you as weak, you're not as resourceful.
Unless you decide to go MGTOW, at which point you just stop caring about any of this.
I'm going to point this out as well, is that one of the things that I'm guessing you're the same, but in our society, as a male, you are taught that basically, if a woman, if you see a woman in trouble, you help her. You just regardless, the entire society, you have to help. And if you ever hear that a woman has been hurt by someone else, that hurts you. That you feel terrible for that.
Or if they need help. Yeah. Not just like I'm in danger or something like that, like lifting shit. Like, so I was in church, and a woman comes up to me, right? Now she's kind of elderly, or getting up there, and she asked me, "How's my back?" And I said, "Well, I guess fine." She goes, "Can you please lift this thing out of my trunk and carry it to the kitchen?" Now, I don't know that she was asking me because I'm a guy, right?
It will be.
Right? She didn't ask me, like, she didn't say, "Well, you look like a strong man." Like, she didn't try to play on my ego. She just asked me, "Is your back good? And can you please help me with this?" Now, it was really light for me, right? But it was all icy out there, right? Like I said, she was kind of elderly. I had no problem. I went out there, I took out her thing, and I took it to the kitchen in the church, right? Because this was at church. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Whereas the opposite, so I went to help someone at work the other day lifting some stuff. And he was like, "Are you okay with that? Are you okay? Are you sure?" So he was like, "Really, are you okay doing this? I can go and get one of the lads if you'd prefer." And I'm like, "Well, it's this or doing a training course." Yeah. It's like, it's this or doing a really, really mind-numbing training course. So I'd rather be doing this. I was like, and they're just, so yeah, the other way around. "Oh no, you're a woman, you shouldn't be carrying that." Fuck off.
Yeah, like, how weak do you think I am?
I volunteered.
Now, I can see if you were on a shaky ladder, it was way taller than you could reach, and it was a heavy object.
If I hadn't volunteered, or I was blatantly struggling, but I blatantly volunteered for this, and I knew what I was getting into, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I'm starting to feel a little bit like, just stop it now.
Right. Okay, so MGTOWs, men going their own way, are leaving society. It's saying, I'm going to go my way. Not your way, not her way, not their way, my way. I'm going to live my life my way, my rules, my house, my way.
Self-actualization is an amazing thing, because what's ironic is if a man self-actualizes and then is successful, which he's more likely to be because he's doing what he wants to do, he's doing his passions, he's doing what he wants to do, what he thinks is right, he's more likely to be successful. And then women are going to start throwing themselves at him.
Yep.
And it's going to be hugely ironic for a lot of these MGTOWs.
Now, the funny thing is, Onision made this really dumb fuck. Okay, well, it's Onision, so you know it's mostly going to be dumb fuck as hell, right? He makes this video, and he's basically covering a lot of this anti-feminism stuff, right? Which covers some MRA, some MGTOW stuff. And he goes, men going their own way, have fun being lonely the rest of your life. Basically suggesting...
got nothing to do.
I know. Well, first of all,
but he's a popular idiot on YouTube. It's like that. No, this is his entire thing. He's a popular idiot on YouTube. That's him.
No. His audience is 14-year-old girls who have confidence issues.
And also obsess over him as well.
Yeah. And it's funny because...
If only he saw them. If only, that's what they're probably begging. If only he saw me. If he knew I existed, he would love me.
Yeah. So he basically preaches his whole audience to this vegan, like, feminist crap, right? And what he's doing is trying to say is if you're not a feminist, you can't get laid. That's essentially what he's arguing.
I've seen like
two of his videos. You have to worship at the altar of the vagina before they'll give you access to it.
Wait, to regards, he's quite right though, isn't he? I mean, he's wrong. Look
at these guys, right? It's the alpha males, right? Who it's really popular people, or males, I should say, who get all the girls, right? Because
the MGTOWs do have some very interesting specific words that they use. So the alpha and beta male is one, the red pill and the blue pill is one.
There's the is it zeta male?
Well,
I think that's one
alpha male comes from biology. Alpha male comes from biology. For those who don't know, the alpha male is the leader of the pack. The one wolf who's stronger than the other wolves, who dominates all of it, right?
It seems to be any pack group, any group of animals that have a pack mentality, which as humans we have.
It doesn't apply to hive mentality though, just pack mentality. There is a difference.
Hives are always run by females. If you look at female-dominant society, yeah, you're looking at hives.
Yeah,
hold on, let me think about that.
Can you think of any?
Yes, termites.
Okay.
Strangely enough, termites live for mate for life.
Really?
Termites mate for life. You can look that shit up. I will put a link in the down below when we have a time.
I may need a link. That is very intriguing.
Yeah.
I did not know.
But when the male termite comes home, right, and he meets his wife, you know what the first thing she says? You got wood?
I like that.
Oh my god, you two! Why am I stuck in a channel with you two?
Because no one else.
Well, that's okay. I have a lesbian joke too.
Don't speak with your mouth full.
Yeah, you can't see it.
I can see it.
Okay.
Dude, you know what you're supposed to do when you do that? You're supposed to go to make sure she really can.
I really do that. I get slapped if I do that.
No, I don't beat my husband.
Well, you know what? Well, after you get slapped, that's just from there. You just end up with sex. Because one slap leads to another. But two lesbians walk into a dildo, and Donald Trump says, "Oh, excuse me, ladies." I actually wrote that joke. Originally, I wrote it for Rick Romney or whatever, but it still works. So, anyways, getting back on topic. Now, I've run into some really crazy MGTOWs, right? They were constantly going into the same logical, fucking circular reasoning shit, right? It was really, really stupid because he said, all women are greedy, and if you marry any woman, she's going to run off with all your money and the kids and blah, 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 and ruin your life. I said, no, that's bullshit.
Just so you know, it's not us snoring. The dog is snoring.
Yeah, the dog is snoring. She's snoring quite heavily.
Oh my God, they're blaming it on the dog.
No. When I fart, I do blame it on the dog a few times, you know. But
no, you can tell the difference.
You can tell it because
the dog's farts are foul.
Well, you can tell if you're a redneck if your dog farts, but you claim it.
You can tell if you're a redneck if your family tree is a pretzel.
Oh, no, you did that wrong, man. You know you're a redneck if your family tree is a bush or a grapevine.
Pretzel
works better.
Pretzel. It curls.
Yes, but that's not
itself.
a plant that grows. It goes from a tree to another plant thing, man.
Yeah, it's bread. I mean, you know.
It doesn't work so well.
Baby bread.
I'd like to thank Chris for being my one and only Patreon, and I did my first Patreon release of an article today. Woohoo!
I was going to say, you kind of did. Like, I was going to say you should have had him do it to the Patreon we put down here because, like, I'm splitting this between the 4 of us.
No, I need one all to myself. I do.
Okay.
To be fair, I do a lot of stuff for EGFM. It's like it's a second job. I do about 30 hours a week on it, and I've invested over £300 in it of my personal money so far. So I need that back. On that note, would you like some more cider?
Oh, okay. So Chris McDonough, I probably butchered this time. So Dr. Rennerecam, in quotes, cleans inside out video has a hilarious take on feminism, men, and getting laid. I think I may have seen that, but I'm not sure.
All right, I'll be back in a sec. I'm going to be viewing the capable of hands of Max.
Now to get to the third one, a pickup artist, or a PUA, that's the third in our little string there in the title. A pickup artist is someone who learns how to pick up women.
Before we move on, did we want to talk about the mice?
The what?
The mice.
The mice.
I referenced some mice in the last video, and I alluded to them. We should probably talk about the mice with the MGTOWs before we move on.
I'll get the cider then. You
okay, go ahead. I don't know what you're talking about. Put the headphones
on the dog. She seems to be fine with it the other day.
So there was I'll bring up so I can read something a bit more factual. Wikipedia for the win. So a guy called John B. Calton, I don't know if I pronounced that right, he did an experiment using mice and rats. So basically what he did is he took 4 breeding pairs of mice. So this was his most famous experiment. Where's it gone? In the early 1960s, he did his most famous experiment, which was 4 breeding pairs of mice. What he did is he put them into a utopia. These mice had as much food as they could eat, as much water as they could drink, as much bedding as they could use, with absolutely no predators. The only constraint was space. They didn't have a huge area to live in. So what happened was over 600 days or so, every 55 days the population doubled. When the population reached 602 on day 315, the population suddenly dropped and did not recover until the entire populace was deceased. So what he saw after about day 600, he saw a breakdown in social structure. He saw a breakdown in the social behaviors. Oh, I have more cider. So
we're not alcoholics, just to be aware. We're not alcoholics.
It's just tonight.
It's a Saturday.
I bought cider. I bought 3 litres of cider and some cans. So amongst the behaviour that happened was an expulsion of young before weaning was complete, which would basically have killed the babies, wounding of the young, increased homosexual behaviour, an inability of dominant males to maintain the defence of their territory, and females, aggression behaviour of females, So then females became more aggressive, and they basically, the whole social structure started to break down, including, now here's the link to MGTOWs. There was a small group of both males and females who removed themselves from the dating pool and just spent all day cleaning themselves, and only came out when everyone else was asleep to eat and drink and to do so. They basically became effectively night owls and removed themselves from the dating pool. And these were dubbed the beautiful ones because they literally spent all day just preening themselves. They didn't get into fights. They just cracked on with what they wanted, and they lived quite happily. And these have been, it's like the links between MGTOW and them have sort of appeared.
So actually at the end of times then?
So we are possibly in a downward spiral where, you know, the rise of feminism, which has also, I haven't looked into that, but apparently that is a potential cause of the end of society. And the rise of MGTOWs could potentially show that our society is on the verge of breaking.
Mm.
And it's quite interesting. So Sandman has done a video on this, which was quite interesting. What did he call it? So Sandman did a video called Mouse Utopia Experiment MGTOW, and he explains this fairly well. And there's also, most of that information I just read out was from YouTube and John B. Cohen's Wikipedia page. Yeah, I think we've got, I gave you links earlier, did you put them below, Khan?
John B. Calhoun. C-A-L-H-O-U-N.
Yeah.
I did not see. Okay, is this the Wikipedia page?
Yes.
That you put in the thing? Okay.
Yeah.
I will put that now.
So yeah, so that's why I wanted to bring that up with MGTOWs, is there is a potential that the rise of MGTOWism
is biological.
MGTOWism is
not
only biological,
well, it's a word now.
But is potentially a signature of the end of society. But I think that MGTOW is a good thing, like from a feminist perspective, men holding women to a higher standard and not being hypergamy themselves and discouraging women from being hypergamy, I think is a positive thing.
I just find, because I always go back to, go on. There you go on, it's fine.
Oh, I just coughed. I was, yeah. Here's the thing though. When did feminism rise up, really? Like as an actual movement? When?
The 1830s.
Okay, and when was that? What kind of period for humanity would you call that?
Industrial Revolution.
Thank you. It did not happen in the Stone Age. It did not happen in the Bronze Age.
Because it can't happen in the Stone Age. It can't happen in the Bronze Age.
Nefertiti. We had Cleopatra. We've had Joan of Arc. We've had all sorts of strong women all throughout history, right? The Jade Princess. We've had a lot of strong women, very powerful. Lady Jane, one of my favorites.
Boadicea. Boadicea? Boudica.
Boudica.
Boudica from Celtic, right? And I always play Boudica when I play Civilization. And we've had all these strong women. The three, actually, in Celtic history, we had three women who raised up a giant army to defeat Rome. They lost, but they had so much significant power. They rode into battles themselves, right? They eventually lost to the Romans, unfortunately. But they put up they had a lot of power, political, military, you name it, kind of power, and they launched a huge, ginormous campaign against the Romans. So there have been really strong women throughout all of history, right? And a lot of these women were given every resource available to them. But only in the Industrial Revolution do we see a rise in feminism. And why is that? What's the difference?
I don't know when they start.
Jobs that is a lot easier for women to be able to do and have a career in.
Yeah, well, look at it, right? When you're looking at manual labor, it doesn't become a definitely, it starts to break down because we start to create our own machinery, which
Right.
starts to take the jobs of males.
More admin jobs that are
Right?
safe.
Yeah, no, but
Safe
I mean, you look at when women were complaining about men having the jobs. They weren't complaining about the men working down the coal. You know, they're like, I want to be able to work down a coal mine.
Never moan that there are enough
They want
thin men, or there are enough women who dying in the work.
Oil rigs. I mean, that's one thing. Basically, it's the safe jobs, office jobs, where it becomes about socialization.
We want more managerial jobs.
I mean,
because
we want women who are CEOs and senators, but we don't want them to be trash collectors, construction workers, or blah, blah, blah. Now, they fought for women to be construction workers in the 70s and the 80s, but they stopped in the 90s, and they haven't done so yet this century. We're about to be, we're not too long before we're 20 years into the century, and we don't hear feminists complaining there's not enough women in construction. We don't hear women complaining there's not enough women who are chemical engineers.
Okay, well, look at me, right? Blaise, you're an engineer. You are a specific type of engineer.
To be fair, I'm a systems engineer, which is pretty safe.
But you were interested in structures of structures and things like that. But you are.
No, I wasn't.
I
was interested in problem solving.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not a civil engineer. I have met female civil engineers, but even as an engineer, when I heard that this female was a civil engineer, even I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's different." Because most women, civil engineering is one of the even in the engineering thing. This is where there are fewer women even then.
Because that's to do with construction.
So really, technology. I think it's interesting because in Star Trek Insurrection specifically, they say something very interesting. They say when you create technology to do the job of a man, you've taken something away from a man. Right? So
I agree with everything Linkara said about that film. He was spot on about that film. The criticisms of, it basically it shits on Star Trek. It's kind of like it wasn't written by somebody who had a good grasp, and it patronizes Star Trek. It really does.
Was it that one that they killed Data?
No, that was Nemesis.
No, it was Nemesis.
But this is a tangent. This is a tangent, and we're going off on a tangent. We're coming off.
I like Data. He was my favorite, and I got pissed off when they killed him off. He was a really shit death as well.
Okay, you've just quoted a really shit film, but that's beside the point. You've got a very good point when it comes to that.
It's also the guy who played Kramer on Seinfeld, right? He's doing this stand-up, and he goes, people get out of the gym, right? And they've got these huge muscles. This guy's got muscles on his arms like I have on my thighs, right? And he goes outside, right? And he opens his car door, and he gets into his tiny car, and he drives away. Right? Now, back in the day, back in the Roman times, you needed a strong arm to hit, swing that whip or, wield this sword again and again and again. And, he describes all these things that they did physically in the olden times, like thousands of years ago. And he goes, today we have all these muscles, but we don't really need to use them.
Yeah, but they're false muscles. They are false muscles. If you look at if you look at bodybuilding, it's all about aesthetics. It's not about strength. It's about
most of
aesthetics.
Them can't run
well, you can make your muscles bigger, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're stronger.
You isolate muscle. When you isolate muscle groups, right? You say, okay, I'm going to isolate my biceps to make my biceps really, really big. It means you're not strengthening every single muscle around it, so you're not actually any stronger. You're not as strong.
Risk of giving yourself,
it's like when people take steroids and they can end up ripping tendons off, ligaments off because they don't strengthen the ligaments doing the exercise.
Balances really
it's like if you pick a heavy weight off the floor and you do it correctly, every single muscle in your body will work just right. The moment you isolate certain muscle groups of the body, you are strengthening it away from
you're
other
not
parts
a
of your body.
bodybuilder, but you've got your weights. We have like
strength training is a science. If you look at historical strongmen, they were not beastie guys.
Yeah.
They weren't huge guys. They were strong. And I mean, you look at strongmen today. Guys you can actually fold metal sheets into. With their own hands. They're not big guys. They look like the type of guy you would find who works in a factory, who has muscle, but it's not They're not bodybuilders.
Well, hold on. There's something else to this, right? It's not just the size of your muscles, but the speed of which that your muscles respond with. Right?
Yeah, we've got two types of muscle. You've got fast twitch and slow twitch.
So pickup artists.
We want an interesting topic.
Oh, of course you're interested.
Anyone who's interested,
like anyone who's interested, we talk about everything and stay half the time in the rabbit hole.
Okay, yes, anyone who's interested in the subject of strength, right? Anyone who's interested in the subject of strength, look on YouTube, look at Elliot Holtz, look at Strength Camp. Best Holtz site you will ever find on strength and the philosophy of strength.
Have Blaise put it in our chat box, and I'll put it into the description down below for those who are interested in the weight thing. But moving on, okay, so this is what really changed in human history, right? Women now can do jobs that men could do because the technology was there, and even in the movie in G.I. Jane, right, where the senator's talking to the people about more women in the military. And she goes, well, how hard is it to pull a fucking trigger? Like, how much muscles do you really need for that? Now, that's an oversimplification of the job that a military person does.
You obviously don't understand what the military have to go through to physically get to the place before you need to pull the trigger.
Just to look at the load you have to carry, the physical things. Yeah, I mean... And
yet you're often carrying 60 to 80 kilograms in your Bergen.
Okay, there's that one
huge terrain going up mountains.
Blaise. I think they emphasized how much work it takes when they showed her in training.
Like there was that female soldier, the American. I think she might have been a Marine. I might be wrong.
No, she was going to the Navy SEAls, which is the toughest in our.
No, there was an actual lady. She was fighting on the front line, right? Hold on. Right, she was fighting on the front line, and she actually says that she doesn't think women should fight on the front line. She didn't do that because she now physically she destroyed her body. She cannot have children now because she had to carry so much weight. She had to do so much physical activity. She literally destroyed her body. Her body broke down too fast for her, and yeah, she can't have children now. And of course, that's terrible for her.
Quite a big deal.
I think that's going to change, though. That's going to change.
You can't change the basic.
Well, they're building exoskeletons now. They're building exoskeletons. That's technology doing the job of our bodies.
Okay, you know? I can see that, but that's going to change very quickly. If women start going to the military more and more, right? Let's say it's 50-50. We're going to start evolving that the stronger and stronger women are going to be produced, right? So because the ones that come back from the military who can do that training, who do reproduce, right? That their bodies were strong enough, they're going to produce stronger and stronger women. Just like
you have different a lot of variation there because you're gonna have potentially two different versions of women. You know,
well, you're gonna have more than two, but I mean, it's just like with female hyenas, right? They're often bigger than the males because they have to protect their young.
Yeah, but that's only if you breed on those basis.
Yeah, but we're talking about if it becomes far more common. If you get far more women who are basically going to get stronger, it would be. However, that isn't necessarily going to happen because, like I said, if women are starting to get bigger and stronger, then there's potential where they cannot be, then they start to lose their fertility because they start to produce things like
Well, that woman lost her fertility, right? Well, let's say another woman, let's say there's two women, hypothetically speaking. Two women go into the military. Both have the exact same training. They both have the exact same field experience. They both have the same combat experience, right? Both come home at the end of the day. One loses her fertility. One almost loses her fertility. That one reproduces. That one, her daughter goes in the military, comes back. She's going to produce other daughters who can survive that and still be fertile with all that physical hardship, right?
So
okay, but it gets a bit more complicated than that because if she is physically under stress, right, and there is this potential biological component, if she's physically under stress, there's a good chance that she may not have daughters. She might only have sons because she's physically under stress. So it means that environmental factor. It's just a thought I had. Right. Is that the environmental factor?
So in Twitter, I've just linked to a UK report which made me change my mind originally I thought women should be in the front line. I read this report and I changed my mind. Because of this report, I now do not think women should be on the front line.
Okay.
So I think that's quite interesting. But I think we should also move on to pickup artists.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be here all night, I'm afraid.
Okay, and I have to go bake banana bread anyway.
Ooh,
banana bread is amazing.
Banana. There's a banana. We do have a banana bread beer, and there's a supermarket called Sainsbury's, and I don't know if they still do it, but they make a banana bread beer. It is really nice.
Man, there's someone who's going to make beer out of everything. All right, that link is now in the down below. People, this is the way the show's going to work from now on. As we talk about a source, it will be linked in the down below if it wasn't done at the beginning of the show. All our contact information, who we are, is already in the description.
I like this plan.
Yeah.
Right. That way we're more prepared. I don't have to watch 2 hours of the video after I've just got done making it, trying to find out what I should have linked and what I didn't link and everything else. So yeah, we're looking to make the show much better. Systems engineer's the new plumber. You're a plumber. Can we see your ass crack?
I'm a plumber.
Sometimes.
Okay. Pickup artists, right? Their whole thing. Now, this is a culture rather than it is well, I guess you could say it's a lifestyle for some. And I've posted some links in the down below already. And basically, what a pickup artist is someone who studies women's sexuality, what women find attractive, how to talk to women. And the whole idea is to get women and to have sex with them. That's it. One night stands, maybe 2 night stands, whatever, right? The whole idea is about just getting laid, right? Playing on female psyche in order to get sex, right? Because women are attracted to things sexually differently than men are attracted to things. For the most part, yes, again, this is a generalization. Most women don't like porn. There is porn out there aimed at women, right? But like when I did my show, Sexism in Our Society Today, right? You can look that up throughout my channel's videos. When I did that, someone posted a comment section saying, well, you can't really compare those things to porn because there's not as many women who are interested in porn. You'd have to compare it to other women who like porn and blah, blah, blah. And that's bullshit because porn is originally designed, right, for males. Now, there might be a bunch of women who also like the same kind of porn that guys do, right? Although for different reasons.
Just to say, right, apparently female porn stars are paid far more than male porn stars.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, there's a massive wage gap within porn.
And it makes sense because if you think about it, why would they pay males when they're trying to titillate men? So that they will pay females more because if a female can perform better.
Gay porn, but I don't think that's as prominent.
But that's a bit more niche. Also on the catwalk, so female models are paid more than men. There's a wage gap within the fashion industry as well.
Yeah, but guys all look the same in clothes as women you've got. Yeah.
But you don't hear feminists complain about that.
Anyway, as you were saying about porn.
Well, I don't complain about that because the wage pack is a is a load of tosh. So yeah.
Right.
As a feminist, I don't moan about it because I don't believe in it.
Okay, let me put it this way. You don't hear outcome feminists talk about it. There you go.
Yeah, this is true.
All right, so moving right along. But, however, if you look at all the women who watched or read the book, 50 Shades of Grey, the Twatlight series.
Hey, hang on. Those, right, I'm just going to defend these things, right? And I will point out that none of these things are aimed at us. We shouldn't criticize something that is aimed for, like, 12-year-old girls.
No, nope.
I mean,
it's aimed at 12-year-old girls. They're going to criticize my porn as an objectification of women, then I'm going to point out these bullshit things as objectification of men. If they're going to criticize the things I like, I'm going to criticize the things they like. Fuck them.
Yeah, but you're only attacking the 12-year-old girls, and they're not attacking anyone.
I'm not, because there's a bunch of middle-aged women in there wetting their pants, too.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I hate
It's
to
quite.
point out, but actually,
It's quite creepy, isn't it? It's like Mums for Twilight, isn't that what it's called?
Have you heard about the 14-year-old girls who have just been sentenced to prison? There's 2 sets of them, both of whom have committed murder recently.
That's happened. It's
Yeah,
very common. It's very common.
cou-
Look at the Slender Man. The 2 girls who tried to commit killings.
a couple
The
of
girls
14
survived, but they did it in the name of Slender
Well,
Man. You know?
in the ones that have been in the UK newspapers recently, that their victims did not survive. There was one where 2
Start from the beginning.
14-year-old
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, some young ladies have been murdering people.
Yeah.
It's becoming.
What, like serial killers?
No, I think they were 13 and 14 or 14 and 15.
They've already killed how many people?
Is this the girl in the bathroom?
No, there was one where they murdered an older lady. She was 39, but she was mentally
disabled.
Disabled. So they beat her to death. And when in court, they said that they didn't know that you could beat someone to death. They thought the only way you could die was through cancer. At age 14 and 15, that's what they claimed that they thought. They thought they could get away with that.
Yeah. No. If you look at the state of some of the youths in the UK, it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me. You know. You ever heard
then, after they'd murdered this poor woman, they phoned the police for a taxi home.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. And then there was another story where a couple of 14-year-olds recently had been done for killing a mother and child. A mother and daughter recently as well.
Wow.
And they were 14-year-old girls then.
They were 14-year-old girls.
The thing is, our society view it's kind of
women are capable of evil. Appreciate the fact women are not wonderful. Stop treating us like such.
If you look, because this is an American case.
We want equality. We want
this is equality. This is an American case, right?
You know what?
The 2 girls who tried to kill their friend because they were obsessed with Slender Man, and that's an American case, and it goes to this whole attitude of girls, basically the whole sugar and spice and all things nice.
Boys are made of puppy tails and blah blah blah. Yeah.
Snokes and snails and whatnot. But the thing is that we have that viewpoint, and if you're looking at the psychopath in nature, the narcissist, you more than likely you look at the kind of the side that can get away with these things, and women can get away with these things. You know, we may find it there's a greater prevalence of psychopathy with
done for rape,
females.
like,
I don't know if that's true, but you know, it wouldn't surprise
you. Know, it's like Dave Chappelle said. It's funny. He goes, I'm just asking for some consistency, right? He goes, a 15-year-old boy is wrestling with his younger brother, accidentally kills him. He said, I didn't mean to kill him. We were just playing wrestling, right? Prison for life, no parole.
Really? For manslaughter?
Yeah, I'm not even shitting you. You can look this up. 14-year-old girl. Apparently, she's not old enough to decide whether she wants to be pissed on. Think about that for a second. 14-year-old girl is not old enough or mature enough to figure out whether or not she wants to be pissed on, but this 15-year-old is sentenced to life without parole for accidentally killing his brother. Because he should have known better.
That's sickening. That's really sickening, you know.
And the girl who didn't know if she wanted to be pissed on or not, all right, according to the courts, was the girl with R. Kelly, right?
Did she want to be pissed on? Because
yes, she wanted to be pissed on. Like, who's sitting there in the way of the piss, right?
It's the golden shower. I mean, I would have.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny because
I'm going to say I demand it be a specific shade of golden, you know.
Anyway,
because he pissed on her, and apparently that's sexual.
The pickup artists are taking advantage of gynocentrism.
Gynocentrism. You can tell I've drunk way too much cider.
I mean, women have been trying to use the same tricks to get men. How much makeup does a woman how much time in makeup does a woman use to put on, like in the beginning of her day? She meticulously picks out her dress to attract the kind of guys she wants, right?
Are we
all this is calculated.
I should probably not use myself as an example of this, should I?
No, you shouldn't.
What is wrong with men doing the same thing to attract the kind of woman they want?
There's nothing wrong. The thing is, it's a game. It's the game. It's the game. And then, I mean, if you look at the pickup artist,
any guy
it's turning into a charm offensive
by wearing a particular watch, some particular shoes, and a particular suit, and she's willing to bed him because of that.
But
she's shallow enough.
She chose to sleep with him. Like everyone goes, oh, he's a pickup artist. He's going out there playing the game. She will know that what he's after. If she goes and sleeps with him on the first night, she is after exactly the same thing he wants, and that's just sex. But because he's still portraying himself in a specific way, she thinks that she's going to get perhaps something more from it. But she does know that if you're sleeping with a guy on the first night, it's a one-night stand.
So my mate,
that's what it is.
My mate, who's male, he has this trick. He's like, one way to drive any woman crazy: walk them to their door, give them a peck on the cheek, and walk away. Second date, you will get laid.
But it is playing. I mean, I think one of the reasons why pickup artists scare women is because when you're looking at psychology, it's kind of women's area. If you look at the amount of women who go into medicine, they go into women go into psychology more than men. I want to say that as something I've heard.
Yeah,
I cannot cite it.
That is statistically true.
But essentially, it's their forte. Now, when you think about men deciding,
to feel in control.
But when you think about
a woman wants to choose
they
their
want
man.
to control.
They don't want to feel tricked into sleeping with someone.
But when
and then find out the next day that this guy has invested all of his money.
If she goes and sleeps with him and plays mind games with him, it's okay, and she doesn't really care if he's getting because being male, I've had my mind played with by women, and I eventually I wised up. I grew up and I wised up and realized actually that's a normal thing. It's something that certain girls do. You might encounter some girls who do it, some girls who don't, but you're going to encounter it because there is a factor of women. It's women can do it well. I mean, it's not that men don't do it, but women can do it well.
Hold on, I got a story for you guys. Hold on, I got a story for you guys that is definitely on this mark. All right, so years ago, at about 2009, I was playing a game called Ebony, right? This is one of these online live strategic games, right? So the game's always running. You don't log on and log off. You just show up, right? So much, and it's always running. You don't need to save anything because it's active 24/7, 7 days a week, all the time. Everything is always calculating. So when you're producing 15,000 lumber an hour, right, you're going to produce that every hour, whether you're on it or off of it, right? And you have these alliances. Usually in most of these games, a max is 100 people. And
I'm just going to be away AFK for a few minutes, so I'll be back in a moment.
Carry on speaking, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to mute.
Okay, so there's this woman in there, right? And we're having a discussion with a whole bunch of people, and I said, and they're like, and she goes, well, sex is a woman's choice. I said, no, it's not. I said, it's not a woman's choice. It's a woman or a man's choice. And she goes, oh, no. All guys want sex, blah, blah, blah. It's totally my choice whether me and my husband have sex or not. I said, well, it's my choice on whether or not I have sex or not. I have turned down sex because I don't believe in one-night stands. I don't believe in having sex with a woman I don't love.
It's more common than you realize. That's a lot more common than you realize, Right.
Well, anyways, I said, if I don't want to have sex with a woman because I don't like how many women or how many guys she's been with, that's my choice. She's not going to control me. I'm not some sex maniac. I have control over whether I do and don't have sex. And after that conversation, she went around telling everyone just to ignore what I'm saying because I hate women. Now, this was someone I had confided some of the hardest hardships I have gone through with, right? That I had consoled in. And she was going around telling everyone that I hate women for no other reason than I won't just have sex with any woman. That I'm not going to that I don't let women dictate whether or not I have sex.
It's a bit ridiculous, that, isn't it? It really is ridiculous.
It's because she wants all the power. That's what women.
Yeah.
That's what women crave, is that sexual power, right? That domination. That I can control you, because otherwise we're not having sex. Fine, I got my hand. I'll start jerking off right next to him. I've done that. I'm like, okay, you're my lover, and you don't want to have sex with me because you're trying to use sex to manipulate me as punishment, right? Fine. I just start whipping it out right there. She goes, ew, that's gross. I said, grosser than sticking it in you and get everything all wet and smelly? Really? You sure about that? Or are you just trying to use it to shame me and not to doing it? No, sorry. There we go.
Right. There's it's a pity that it doesn't exist anymore.
Because it just shows them that I don't need them to get off. And I don't. I don't need a woman to get off. If you masturbate right, it's just as good as being with a woman. Yes, I've been with a woman. I've had a fiance. I've had girlfriends, right? You can make it just as good if you know what you're doing. You've got to know yourself, right? And it takes practice, as everything does. I'd say it's better with a woman because when you're not just doing it for yourself, when you're doing it for someone else, it is so much better. But if they don't really care about you, you might as well be with yourself. As I've been saying since I was a teenager, sex without love is masturbation, and Palma bears no children.
Well, essentially, if you look at the rise of the sex doll, right, and you're looking at the idea that they're creating artificial intelligences, right, in the sense of they're trying to create proper sex robots.
Cherry 2000.
Yeah, exactly that. And of course, women are like trying to block. Some feminists are trying to block this because they say it degrades women, and it's like it has nothing to do with women. It's to do with male sexuality. Because the moment you start taking, because until now, men want to have sex with a woman. There's only two ways they can do it: either consensually or rape. And of course, rape is illegal. So let's just talk about the consensual.
Not to mention, it's a horrible, shitty thing to do to anybody.
Well, technically there's three. Well, it's still, actually, one of them's still consensual, but prostitution is still consensual. She's choosing to go out, regardless of whether or not she might be forced.
Dude,
but
you're always paying for it. There's no method of ever having sex with a woman where you're not paying for it.
But there's a lot of women who don't like the idea that men take their own sexuality into their own hands, their sex life. Basically, they don't like the idea of guys going, you know what, I don't need a woman life, I can just have a robot, I can have sex with that, and I can go away. The people who are making the female sex robot also thinking of making the male sex robot in the same ideas. It's not like they're going one, they're trying to create either or. But it's like, both, they'll say both, it's not either or, but both. And the women aren't trying to block the male sex robot, they're trying to block the female sex robot because it degrades women.
Oh, yeah, of course it does.
But
it's not like vibrators haven't existed. How can you have sex with a machine? How the fuck do you?
Yeah, women
it's a
have
more vibrator. Battery operated boyfriend. Exactly. That's what they're called, Bobs.
You know, but going back to the power thing, and it's a really one of the big problems, because I know in the past you've mentioned martial arts. I'm big into martial arts, right?
I was at the room for like a minute, and now you guys are talking sex robots and dildos.
Yeah, that's probably why. But basically, I know you mentioned you're into martial arts.
We're talking about the Republican Party again, Blaise. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm into martial arts, and if you ever know of Mark McYoung, he's basically very big, and you're looking at kind of alternative, there's like self-defense and things like this. Now he used to have a website called No Nonsense Self-Defense, and he really laid everything on the line. And unfortunately, if you type in No Nonsense Self-Defense now, you come up with some military link of some sort. But there were some articles, and it really did resonate, because when I started getting into, years ago, I myself started looking into feminism. I got interested in Karen Strachan's videos. I started on like some of her earlier ones.
Yeah, the fact I'm a feminist is totally his fault.
Yeah, probably. But I started getting into these videos, and I started looking into these things. And but that's at the same time, I also started looking into Mark McYoung's website. And some of the articles he wrote were really spot on. He talked about power, because he also does self-defense courses for women. And whenever he has these young girls come along, he always says, you've got to come with your mother, because he wants them to talk about experiences they've had, like sexual experiences that have gone right, have not gone right, and actually talk about these things so they know what is right and what is
Is
not
this
wrong.
the guy who actually works in a prison?
No, that's Rory Miller.
Oh, okay.
And that he, if you ever look in, I think one of the best martial arts book on the I've ever read is Meditations on Violence, and I need to get a new copy of that because I lent it to a friend and he's still got it. Although I am talking to the friend now, but the Mark McYoung, he talks about power and how power is assumed. When it comes to power with women, is that one of the things that women have is they've got this assumption that they've got power, but they don't really, because the power they've been given is loaned. It's not actually theirs. They've been given it by the other person.
This.
Hold on. First of all, here's the thing about power.
In
nobody,
female power. So female power.
Nobody takes power. Power is given.
Yes.
Not quite. Male power. When we talk about, right, for instance, when you have two males, right, whoever wins, if you put them in a ring, whoever wins has the power over the other. With males, power is different with females. Power with females is for the female power is given to them, but male power.
I would say that's no. I would say that's wrong because it depends on. I think that's a gross oversimplification. If you're talking about physical, if you're okay, here's an example, right? Game of Thrones, right? The book.
We don't watch it. So
I've watched the first part of the first episode.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you've watched it because this is mentioned in the book. It's not mentioned in the series. In the book, there's a case where a person says there are 5 people, right? Who has the most power? And he goes off and the different people. You've got a guy with a shitload of money. You've got a guy with a big fucking axe, a big strong guy with a big fucking axe. You have this guy, you have this guy, and you have this guy. Who has the power? And the question is, none of them do, but all of them do, right?
Yeah, it depends on the context.
So if I'm a big rich guy, I can pay someone bigger to kill you, right?
But what if that big guy that he pays could also then take the power himself, because that person who's bigger can go and say, I can take the power. Whoever has the biggest axe or the biggest stick when it comes to guys is the one with the power.
So let's look at it like a chessboard. Let's look at it like a chessboard, right? Okay. Let's say you have your queen and all of your pieces, right? And I just have my rook and my knight and 1 bishop. Now, if I'm smarter than you,
assume you still have a king, because otherwise you've kind of lost.
He moves 1 space at a time. Okay.
Yeah,
but you have to help him, and you have to.
He has no power. The king is the one who has no power.
If you want to win, you get rid of your own king. Like, literally, the best way you can win at chess is to destroy your own king.
No, because if you destroy your own king, you lose.
No, because
anyway, can I make my point?
I make my own rules. I don't like chess because I can't make my own rules. I don't like playing someone else's rules.
Well, let me finish, right? So if you're smarter than the other guy, even though he may have stronger pieces, you're smarter and you can beat him, right? Especially if you keep getting your pawns to the other side of the board, and you can end up with 3 queens, 4 queens, 5 queens if you're smart about it, right?
Oh, you have multiple women.
So what Max was saying, and I would say that patriarchy, so the definition of patriarchy is that men hold the power and resources. And I would say that within patriarchy, women gain access to these power and resources without taking the risks. So men loan their power and resources to their women. And
I think Joan of Arc disproved that.
I'm just going to take a slight break. Hold on.
But
Joan of Arc.
Yeah, I totally agree. These are for women who have not taken their own risks. Now, women, to break patriarchy, must take their own risks. You can do it. I'm doing it. Joan of Arc did it. They must take their own risks to gain their own power and resources, segregated from men. But
Joan of Arc did that, though, but she didn't destroy patriarchy. She didn't need to. Because I don't think patriarchy stops women.
I
don't even think it harms women.
But when you are given the choice of, okay, well, would you like access to all this power and money, but none of the risks? Well, of course you're going to go, Yeah, that sounds easy. You're not going to take your own risks, are you? Because someone's going to give you everything for you laying on your back. So patriarchy discourages women from taking their own risks and from gaining their own power. But patriarchy protects women as a result. But patriarchy protects women from...
I think patriarchy protects women whether it gives it to them or they earned it themselves.
Yes. And so patriarchy actually privileges women by denying them and discouraging them from taking their own risks.
I don't think it denies them.
They're more protected.
I think it's the women themselves who deny their own risk taking.
In the modern era, then women are no longer discouraged from taking their own risks, and in fact they're starting to encourage it a bit more. But definitely previously, women were discouraged from taking their own risks.
No, I think hold on. Whoa, hold on. Let's go back for a minute.
I'm not saying that there weren't women throughout history that ignored that and didn't do it, but they definitely were the exception.
No, I think feminism did that. What you're describing right now, feminism did that, not patriarchy, because feminists are the ones who got women out of the coal mines. Patriarchy gave them the place in the coal mine. Feminists took that away. And now they bitch that women aren't in coal mining, right? And it's like, well, no kidding. You fought against that in the beginning, and now you're complaining that there are no women there because you took them all out. Duh. Max, if I take all my money out of the bank, I can't bitch that there's no money in my bank account because I took it all out. Who am I bitching at? It's not the banker's fault that I took out all my money. It's my fault. So it's feminists that took out.
Perhaps patriarchy is another topic that we should park for another day.
Maybe
so we were meant to be talking about pickup artists, and then after that we are going to cover. And there's been some rousing from the chat where they would like us to get onto the Sargon versus Woolly thing.
Oh, there's a chat. I could read that, shouldn't I?
Yes. Okay. Come on, Carl. We know you.
We like Chris. Chris is nice.
I've never played Farmville.
I recognize the name.
Yeah,
I recognize
it.
And
honestly, Farmville bores the hell out of me just looking at the trailers and like 2-second clips of what it is. It's a fucking farm. I'm like,
okay, I'm gonna.
You never played Harvest Moon?
You left that, didn't you? You got it on the.
I had it.
Wait. What nerd joke went over your head?
Harvest Moon, it's like Farmville.
Okay.
But
well, I'm gonna. All right, going
game.
back, kind of on topic, right? I'm gonna play with people's heads for this, right? There is nothing to stop someone from who is a feminist from being an MRA, and there's nothing from stopping an MRA from being a feminist. When you look at the
I would
tenets,
totally agree. If
when
you
took at rights,
if you look at surely you must be both.
If you were dealing with female rights, for instance, if you cared about rights and you said, okay, these women are getting a bad deal because they're women, you would be feminist, right? At the same time, you could turn around and say, oh, those men are having a raw deal in this particular region. I'm going to fight for their rights. Because when you're looking at MRAs, Men's Rights Association, okay, it might be a formalized body, but let's talk about men's rights. The MR is more important than the association, right? Because that means meaningless, right? So the men's rights, female rights. Feminism is essentially female rights. I mean,
I disagree with that. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, if you look at I want to do the air quotes thing, but the whole dictionary definition is
right. Okay, gotcha.
Equal rights. Okay, right.
Go ahead.
Okay, right. But
they are waving around.
Yeah, the equal rights, right? We're talking about women having equal rights. When it comes to men, and it doesn't actually say men having equal rights to women. So that's what feminism is. The dictionary definition, which is so often cited, right? We're talking about female rights. It's the same reason that if you saw these children needed rights, you wouldn't say, okay, well, if I'm for child rights, right? You're not discounting male rights and female rights. Okay, children, I suppose, are female and male, but you get what I'm saying is that when we talk about,
there are feminists who, like radical feminists, genuinely see it as men
them or us. No, they didn't see it as a them or us. And this is one of the biggest problems is that we are not a them or us. We are human. Like we are human. We have. Okay, no, it's fine. I'm talking. Right? I'm ranting.
Yeah, you're ranting.
We are human, right? We are, but male and female are the same species. We are all human, and we have evolved for our specific purposes for the human species. So trying to turn us against each other. Like, for instance, if you're a feminist, there's nothing wrong with you turning around and saying, you know what, those men have a raw deal. Those fathers, because I mean, in the UK, we got Fathers for Justice, and it's these guys who dress up as superheroes and climb up on buildings because they can't see their kids, and it
that
kills
was like
them.
20 years ago.
That was not 20 years ago. We're talking like in the last, last 15 years ago. It's totally different. But we're talking about these guys who they basically do extreme stuff because they just want to see their kids. All they want to do, and our entire society, very few people turn around and say, we don't think these guys should see their kids, right? Most of the people are like, you know what? We think that fathers should have the right to see their kids. Now, if you are a feminist and you're saying, I think that women should have rights, there is nothing like you should be fighting more for MRAs than anyone else, because you are saying, I think that as a woman, I should have rights. But if I see someone else who also should have their rights, I should be fighting for them. And if I'm sounding passionate and angry, it's because I am.
No, you have cider Archie.
I'm cider Archie.
Yep. Chris has decided from the chat that you have cider Archie.
Oh wow! I want to read that. How is that? A cider Archie. I love that actually. I have cider Archie. It's a common affliction that people have if they have too much cider.
It's a common affliction in Somerset.
In Somerset. Well, hang on. This is a Somerset cider, so it makes sense.
Somerset.
This is Thatcher's Gold. It's established in 1904.
Is like a big cider making area.
It's Somerset. You know how pirates sound the way they do. It's because most of them are from Somerset. So that is a Somerset thing, right? But no, there is no I'm saying, if you are a feminist, there is nothing stopping you from being an MRA, and if anything, you should be more inclined because you see someone who's basically
this
trouble.
Argument a lot, but particularly like radical and intersectional feminists, which are currently the two dominant.
Or crazy feminists, as we also
both of which I object to, by the way. I am an opportunity.
Prefix is more important than the suffix.
I am an opportunity feminist. That means I stand against outcome feminism. So any feminism that thinks equality means that quotas are a good idea, I don't agree with them.
Okay, here's the important thing, right? Be a decent human being. I mean, one of the reasons why I love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is like be
good.
Be excellent.
I think that's excellent. And if you look at a lot of these ideas, a lot of these things,
party on.
Most of the people who say, "Oh, when they ask if I'm a feminist," of course I'm a feminist because I want to be nice to people, right? I want to be, or people go, I believe in caring about other people. Why? Because it's part of them. It's something that people want to be. It's what they aspire to be. And as soon as you start labeling it and saying, okay, well now you have to. So, are you a feminist? Oh, well, I believe in equality. Yeah, so therefore you are a feminist. Now, if you go, okay, well, I'm a feminist then. Okay, being a feminist, you now have. Here's a list of things that now you've defined yourself as a feminist. Here's a list of things that you now have to abide to in order to be a feminist. So therefore, you need to believe in patriarchy theory, a rape culture, and you're like, hang on a second,
lesbianism.
And if you don't, no. This is what's put forward, of course. And so I believe in feminism, so therefore I must believe in these things. So now I have to go away and perpetuate this myth that we have a rape culture, there is a patriarchy.
There is a rape culture.
Don't take away from my rant, okay? My rant is sucked, right? But
I've been told.
But you've been commanded, actually. But
yeah,
dominating.
Okay. No. Yeah, but I've lost my topic now. Okay, but basically, you're told, right? Things are hijacked. It's like religion, right? Somebody, this is one of the things someone has this epiphany that the world, the universe is not quite what it looks like. It's something far more, right? One person has it, and another person has it, and another person has it, and they start talking about it. And someone comes along and says, "Yeah, I got all the answers. You should follow what I say."
So at some point, would like to get back onto MRAs, MGTOWs, and pickup artists. What they all agree with and what they all disagree with. Are we not?
I'm going off. Okay, I'm going off on a rant.
Because we've got to get on, because the next one's going to take us about an hour, I'm sure.
Okay.
What are we on now?
Sargon and Bumblebee.
I see both sides, and I don't have
How much of, other than what I told you, what have you seen of this?
I don't know enough about it, but I know about the petition. No,
because Max has been at work all day.
I know about the petition.
Had the opportunity to
and you were listening to the Woolly Bumblebee one last night, and the thing is,
he only knows what I've ranted about.
I can only talk about my take on it, right? From what I understand. Now they're talking about freedom of speech, and I absolutely agree. You cannot take away someone's freedom of speech.
But
the petition
Sargon says it's not about freedom of speech. He's not censoring.
Right, he's not censoring. But one thing is that when you look about these, right, you have to look at what the petitions are. Right, the petitions are.
But before you get too into it, maybe we should set the premise.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so Sargon has started a petition.
Yeah.
To ban social, well, it's not to ban. He wants to temporarily suspend social justice courses at university level.
There are no social justice courses,
so,
as far as I'm aware,
firstly,
at university level. They're not called that.
Define what the social justice courses are, which he has included within that the women's studies, gender studies, women, intersectional feminism, and as an add-on, he's included creationism and religious studies that only.
That's not social justice.
That only put forth one thing.
Okay. That's not social justice, though.
Like
that's a religious thing.
Temporary suspension, but hasn't mentioned what it would take to get them back. So Woolly Bumblebee and her friends and her posse have said, well, hang on, you basically effectively banned these things, because although it's a temporary ban, like what you've basically banned them permanently, because how are you going to get them back? So this is curtailing, this is censorship, this is curtailing freedom of speech, which Sargon should be massively against. So he's promoting something that he should be against. That doesn't make sense. And then they all started calling each other idiots, and it was all highly entertaining.
Yeah, the thing is, and this is one of the things that I will...
Entertaining or unentertaining?
Entertaining. It was quite amusing to
really?
watch
See,
Sargon.
I was out. I was like, nope, I'm out. Bye. And I left.
Yeah,
I was like,
the thing is, I think that's a very sane thing to do. And the reason being is that...
We're all talking all over each other. You couldn't make out heads or tails. They were arguing over a lot of stupid shit.
Just to
neither one of them were really listening.
So I've read Sargon's petition. I've not watched the video, and I've only seen half of the Woolly versus Sargon. But I did make a video on it myself based on my current understanding.
I've only seen his video where he is putting the petition on. Now,
was it the 40-minute one or was it the 4-minute one?
It's the 4-minute one. So I don't know the ins and outs of it, but this is my take on it. Is I do think that he is worded it wrong, because the state social justice doesn't stipulate enough. The use social justice is almost like using a slang term to define it. Now, if you'd said we need to discuss or we need to investigate, I want a petition to investigate gender studies and religious studies in universities to see if they are producing
and to be honest, I think if you
problems in our society, because
So I spent, oh my god, 5 hours this morning making a 17-minute video that, to start with, was supposed to have all whistles and bells. So it was meant to be a quick and dirty one, and then that didn't work. Then the camera itself didn't work, and then the other thing didn't work, and then oh bloody fell like 5 hours
the other thing
later.
being something in her pants.
5 hours later, and I was literally screaming. The poor puppy came to see what the hell I was screaming.
I'm hoping the neighbours didn't think I was murdering you or something. I was in work at the time, but you know, I work thing. I phoned you from work, and you were almost in tears. I mean, it wasn't
quite.
I could hear it in your voice
at that point, because I had managed to get something out the door by then. And what I managed to actually get out was like really, really low quality. It was better than nothing.
Fine.
It was all right, but I got high expectations of myself.
Oh yeah, I know how that is.
Yeah, and so I have this whiteboard and I wrote it all out, and basically I applied some systems engineering to it, and so I came up with this. Well, what is the problem? So I think we all agree that the problem is ideology being treated as fact by an authority.
Yeah, and
right. I think everyone agrees that's the problem.
How they
deal with that is another question.
The thing is that goes into every single thing, right? The thing is, the problem is everything we talk about science, right? Well, not everything, but a lot of what we talk about science is theory and it's not fact. So that's where the problem is. But the thing is, it's educated theory, right? It's not like it's not basically based on
No, that's
rationality,
bullshit.
right?
That's absolutely wrong.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
What part?
Okay, so I'm taking human sexuality class. Boy, I keep mentioning that. And this
You're
woman
just
from
looking
the
forward the
CDC
whole
comes-
time, you.
For those who don't know, the CDC is the Center for Disease Control, right?
Yeah, but aren't they owned by certain people? Like
The government.
yeah, but who
It's
are
a
they owned by?
government. So a woman from the CDC comes in to we had several guest speakers. We had a transsexual come in, right? And she told us it's not the LGBT, it's the LGBT something, 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 something.
Please don't tell me that they've included a P in that.
No, they just took the whole alphabet afterwards because they could find it. They could probably find some.
But
Yeah,
if
it was really long.
If they actually are including pedophiles in that, then I'm sorry.
No, they didn't. No, they
okay,
didn't.
So they have a line somewhere. I'm glad they do have a line.
Intersexuals, transvestites, which are called cross-dressers now. Fuck that. I'm not. No. But anyway.
But
then
not
like a whole bunch of other things that are included in
because
that
they're
community.
trying to push this whole pedophile thing being a form of sexual, like being gay.
I will explain that later. He did cover that, but it wasn't in this. It wasn't mentioned in this under that woman's talk or man's talk or whatever, however you want to view that thing. Right. So, but anyways, a woman from the CDC came in. And she told us that 1 in 3 women are raped.
Which is false.
Which is rubbish.
Okay, it's not even the 1 in 5 that I usually hear from Mary Koss. It's 1 in 3. I walked out of that classroom.
I would be curious to know how they came to that data.
I don't even believe 1 in 10 women in that classroom had been raped. And Mary Koss's research, by the way, most of the women that they counted, even in the survey, said they didn't consider themselves raped, but they were counted anyway based on other answers.
Yeah, the only way you can conflate this, because I've seen similar numbers from several sources. The only way you can conflate this is to include rape, to also include drunken sex. So now the fact that I've had a couple of drinks now, if we now go and calculate,
it's irrelevant.
This would be rape.
Yeah, even though I think I'm slightly more hammered.
That's irrelevant because I can't rape you.
No, it's irrelevant because the point here is that the woman clearly lied to us. She gave us misinformation in a class that not only had I paid for myself as a student, hold on, but I also paid for as a taxpayer.
But you're also going to take away from that because, say you weren't who you would take away from that as, well, this person's obviously educated, so she must be correct. So therefore, you are going to go away and perpetuate what she has said as fact.
So when you actually read these definitions and you read these things, they define rape differently. It's not that it's wrong, but within the context of what they're discussing. So when Sargon says that these facts are wrong, you have to define. Basically, it's about the definitions. It's the fallacy of words. Yeah. So these facts are not incorrect. They are just only correct within a certain context.
I'm going to say it's incorrect because there's no study that says 1 in 3 that are raped worldwide.
Worldwide,
or even in the United States,
worldwide,
even if we just focus
on
the United States,
worldwide,
there's no 1 in 3.
But worldwide,
and then it depends on your definition. Right now, if you've included drunken sex,
right,
or sex that you've regretted, or sex that you didn't state yes to.
The thing is, with the worldwide thing, you also have to say, well, how many people? If one woman was raped 10 times, then that bunks up, and that becomes one.
There are some statistical trickery you can do. It doesn't mean that the stats were wrong.
Well, let me put it this way:
within the general understanding
if you're using trickery in statistics, you're lying. You have to be, with statistics, you have to be intellectually honest or you're lying. I'm
so the
sorry.
people who are quoting these, who are not stating the definitions that are being used, they are lying by omission, but you're now in some grey areas. Now, I don't say that I approve of this. I totally agree with you.
Right.
That, you know, where you should stick within like the legal definition of it, for example, even though that excludes men at the moment in the UK. But you know, you should stick to a standard acceptable definition. Once you start edging and making the edges fuzzy, and then actually this is violence against women, when you start purposefully
and men, it's violence against people, everyone, because you're calling men, because you're saying these women are raped by men, right? That's the insinuation.
But under the UK definition of violence against women, like the actual definition that they put forward, this is violence against women. It's psychological violence and harm against women due to their gender, because you have purposefully inflated statistics and made them more fearful than they should be. Inflated statistics are violence against women.
Yeah, but it's also violence against men, because now they're going to be treated differently. They're going to be treated as monsters, right? When they shouldn't. I agree,
but it's just violence against women has a UN definition, and violence against men, oh look, doesn't.
But
even though it should.
There's an important thing we also need to point out here, right? That rapes occurring does not equal number of rapists.
Yeah.
Rapists
yes, exactly.
are almost always repeat offenders.
So if one woman was raped 10 times, right, that means that then you could disseminate those 10 rapes as saying, okay, well, we can distribute those 10 rapes. Even though they were committed by one person, we can attribute those to 10 males. And that's how it goes out. So therefore, you have to be afraid of 10 males rather than one male. You know?
All right, so here's the problem. The reason I'm bringing this up, right, was because I paid for the class, and the woman straight up lied to me. I also paid for the class out of my taxes, right, because the college I go to takes a lot of funding in from county taxes, right, as well as government grants from other places, right? So I am paying twofold for this class as to which I'm being lied to. Now, there's a woman in one of Penn and Teller's episodes of Bullshit, right? She's a sociologist. And she goes in front of, okay, I think you two may have seen this episode.
Have you actually been lied to, or is it just...
Well, let me put it to you this way.
Right, but she lies to herself. She lies to herself, right? Or, you know, because there has to be some kind of intellectual, there has to be dishonesty.
Well, there is, right? Hold on. If you actually read... right, the code of ethics for students, right, and staff, because this is a handbook for students, but teachers are equally held, or should be, to these standards, right? If you fabricate something in a written paper, like when, okay, for those who've taken college, you have to write out this 12-page argument paper, right? I'm sure they do this in the UK as well. And if you don't cite a source, right, that's plagiarism, and you get some major fucking marks for that. Bad marks, not good marks, bad marks. Even if you cite a source wrong, right, and you're in college to be a lawyer, you can be disbarred from ever being a lawyer without ever having to been a lawyer. From just citing a source incorrectly. Now, what this teacher does is she goes up in front of her entire class. This is mandatory for her class, right? She forces this thing to be mandatory. She has them all come in, and then she analyzes porn pictures. Then she lies to them, saying things like, these men look at these women who are shaven, and then what if they're going to become pedophiles? Because they see women who have shaved like vaginal areas, right? So these men are going to be pedophiles. That's what she's... Nothing! Her own fucking opinion, but she says it like it's fucking fact. She's a goddamn piece of shit liar. She has her PhD, she's teaching psychology, and they kept asking her, what's her evidence? What's her evidence? She goes, I told you a bunch of times already. I don't have any sources. Well, no shit, you lady, you dumbass. You're just making shit up.
But
And they're forcing the students to watch this shit. And
But
she
she was
sees this
asked.
shit like it's
She was
fact.
asked.
Yes.
She was asked.
She was asked by Penn and Teller. She was not asked by the class. And she did not cite a single source for any of the material she went over, right?
So let's take a breath. I feel we're getting a little bit emotional.
No,
I swear to God, if I had been in that class,
I think it's perfectly fine to get emotional over the subject.
if I was in that class and I had to pay for it and I had to sit through that bullshit, I would have gone right back to the administration office. I said, I want my fucking money back, and I want you to pay for my time. You just fucked me.
But what's scary? What's scary? Sorry, you going?
Thank you.
Yeah, go on there.
How much money does it cost to go to college? How much does your class cost? Because even when you go to a major university, sometimes it's anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000 per credit hour, depending on where you go. Let's say it's $3,000. I think Cleveland State University charges $3,000 per credit. So if her class is a 3-credit class, that's $9,000 for her fucking piece of shit class.
I'm gonna forget it.
Right. Okay. What do you want to say?
Go ahead.
See, I told you I'd bloody forget it.
Okay, here's what I was going to say, right? And as you mentioned before, is that how many people in that class will go away thinking that she has told them a fact? So they'll take that with them wherever they go. So every single conversation they have is they'll perpetuate the same thing, the same fact, in air quotes, because again, you can't see me at the moment. But they all put that forward as being, this is a fact because I've been told by a professional, so therefore it's perfect. I'm perfectly... I'm completely vindicated if I was to come out and say to you that this is a fact because I've been told by a professional, and so therefore someone else says, well, they've been told by a professional, so it must be correct. So they'll perpetuate the same thing, and then so on and so on. It's like domino effect. And so a lot of problems we have in our society are based on people. They've heard an opinion as a fact.
It's people.
You know what? I'm going to quote myself here.
No, sorry. Can I actually say? So I see the problem. Thank you.
You're regretting letting me in now, aren't you?
I am. I see the problem that these universities, they're supposed to achieve something. So I perceive a lot of these social sciences, so-called sciences, are supposed to teach, in my opinion, critical thought. They're supposed to teach the ability to see what's good evidence, what's bad evidence, to be able to see the difference and to be able to argue an opinion. So I would say that for most of these courses should be the goal, and then you just do that within a context of a subject. Clearly, a lot of these so-called social justice warrior courses are failing on that fundamental level. And I think that's what Sargon has a massive issue with.
I agree with that.
And so when I did some analysis of it this morning and then spent fucking 5 hours trying to record a stupid video, then that was one of my things. So I actually did come up with and this is on my video that I
this is the whiteboard.
This is the whiteboard.
This is what you were doing first thing in this morning when I was going to work.
So I got up.
when I got up and you came in and I thought, oh, that's great. My wife is coming in to seeing me before I go to work. No, you just came in because you wanted to write on the whiteboard.
So this is what I wrote on the whiteboard, and then I heard this. I'm going to work.
Do you want to see me out?
Do you want to see me out?
No, I'm busy doodling on my whiteboard.
I'm in the middle of a thought. That's genuinely what happened. I'm quite ashamed. So this was my first analysis. So I was going to turn this into a huge video, and I was going to draw it all out properly, and I was going to go through it all. So in the end,
this is your handwriting. Jeez.
So in the end, I just.
That's worse.
You can tell
I hope you heard that.
Yeah, this is domestic violence now. Luckily I don't bruise easily.
So yeah, this was my initial thoughts, and it was supposed to be prettier. When I went through
it, didn't take time to neaten it up.
I would have done, but then I had multiple technical failures.
Yeah, but if your computer
5 hours. Okay.
I have a question for you too.
What?
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
This is a bit of a paradox. If I take my penis and slap it across a woman's face and my penis is bruised, who did the sexual violence?
Your penis.
Well, the person who was the actor.
Yeah, but she bruised my penis.
Guys, hang on. Should we blame guys when they clearly think with their penis? Surely you should blame the penis. Actually, some feminists probably do that.
I think that's how a lot of men get themselves dismembered.
Okay, so
yeah,
here's the
I
thing.
crossed my leg. And
Yeah.
This goes back on something you said earlier. I had a conversation with Hannah Wallen, and we were going back and forth on the abortion issue. And we disagree apparently on this issue.
Are you for or against
abortion? Well, I'm against abortion. I'm also against it being illegal.
Hang on, so you're against abortion and you're against it being illegal.
I see it. My thoughts are, I would like it if people took responsibility. I don't see the abortion as being something that should be illegal. I would like the option to be there, but I would also like people to be responsible with things, because
it should be
I don't smoke weed, but I think it should be legal.
Exactly.
Okay,
so it's not for you, but you allow the fact that other people should be able to do it.
I don't smoke weed, but I kind of wish I would.
Okay, so here's the thing.
I have. They said I should eat it in a brownie form, because apparently it's better. You know, it's slightly better for you. And I like brownies because I've got a sweet tooth, so I'm okay with that. You know.
You have drunk way too much.
And this is me as I'm sober. You know?
So yeah, I made this this whiteboard where I came to the conclusion that one of the root cause issues is teaching ideology as fact.
Can I finish my thought?
You can't finish your thought. Yeah.
Anytime.
We're all just ranting now.
All right, so I'm having this conversation with Hannah Wallen, right? And one of the things I brought up, right, when I just saw the conversation midway, I didn't even, I wasn't sure if they were just arguing one part of it or whatever. And she asked a question of this guy who never gave her an answer. And I said, well, I might have an answer for you. And I mentioned babies who are born with anencephalopathy, right? I'm probably butchering how you pronounce that. But basically what it is, it's being born without a brain, right? You have basically just the stem and just maybe a little bit, but the forefront brain does not develop. It does not grow. It's not there, right? When the baby's born. You're looking at an organic doll, right? And this was taught to me in my medical terminology class. The woman was 60 years old. She was teaching in the college. Her daughter is a nurse. She's been a nurse for 40 years. She knows her shit. And she was telling us that they mercy kill babies born with anencephalopathy.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume this is not very common.
It's not common, but it does happen enough that. And Hannah Wallen was telling me, she was like, well, is it a viable baby? Like, will it eventually, does it have to be on life support, blah, blah, blah. And I looked up in my anatomy and physiology book instead of my medical terminology book, and it said that they usually don't last long, right? They eventually die. When I was looking this stuff up online, right, because I went to 2 or 3 different sources, right? And she said, well, they don't just mercy kill alive. You know, your college instructor is wrong. And I said, well, I have to trust the knowledge that I get from my college instructor. She has decades of experience in the field. She's, she goes, well, it may have been what they did way back then, and she's carrying that knowledge, but it's no longer true. Now, when I took medical terminology the first time, it was 2006. So we're already talking about a class I took 10 years ago, right? On top of so forth and so on. But you still have to trust what your instructors tell you, right? You can question it. Yeah, you're supposed to question. When I was in astronomy, I did nothing but question, and I thought that the class was going to lynch my ass because I made the class run so much longer than it needed to. But they surrounded me, and they just asked me, how do you know all this?
But surely there's a big difference between what the textbooks say and what happens in real life. And also, saying, oh yeah, they generally mercy kill them. I mean, surely it's a case-by-case basis. She's not saying, oh yeah, just default. They always just kill those ones.
No, I think they do. I think they do because first of all, anyone who's born without a brain, literally, in a literal sense, is not a person.
So there probably is the decision that there's a very high chance that they would decide that it's better But they would have to take it on a case. They would have to consider every time. They wouldn't just.
There is no.
default.
The thing is, when you say born without a brain, they were talking like we're
even
talking like the bare minimum.
Even if
they're literally a digestive system.
Yeah, they're a digestive system. Yeah. They have enough of the spinal cord to work the heart and the lungs, and that's it.
So
like Terry Schiavo.
There is no quality of life.
Let me put it this way, Blaise. Okay. Let me put it this way. Terry Schiavo had almost 50% more than this baby did, and she had half her brain, literally half her brain was gone.
And I'm not saying that doing that is wrong. I'm also just saying that she is talking from experience, whereas your textbooks wouldn't be necessarily. Your textbooks.
No, the textbooks agreed with her. They said the babies are usually killed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they said they're usually mercy killed. There's no pain. Because there's nothing to process pain. There's no nothing, right? There's no crying because the baby doesn't know to cry. Right? There's no brain there. And I don't think people realize what that actually means. We're not talking Down syndrome. We're talking nobody there. There's no lights.
Well, no, but they have. So I'm not quite sure where the boundary is of the reptilian brain.
The amygdala.
So the amygdala. So they have there's no amygdala even that.
I don't think there's amygdala. Like I'd have to look it up, but there's no corosum, right? There's almost no left or right hemisphere. It's gone. It's not there.
Yeah. So I think my issue here was that I possibly don't appreciate just exactly. Because I don't understand a lot of these terms and I don't know exactly what. So they know to breathe. Do they know that? Like
they don't need to know to breathe. That's an automatic function.
Yeah, it's
basically an autonomic function.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to establish the boundary of what they.
There's enough for the heart to pump blood.
Yeah.
And there's enough for everything. That's it.
The body does everything.
Eating. So
there's no eating.
You'd actually have to pump food. Like you have that chewed up food. You'd have to actually pump it to the digestive, possibly soup.
This is equivalent to a chicken who was fed for 18 months with an eyedropper.
Without the head.
Without the
head. Yeah.
Okay.
That's essentially what we're talking about.
In the natural world, these things like physically couldn't survive because you wouldn't.
Not only that, but there's nobody home. Literally, there's nobody there. There's no personality.
Like if you took a person and took their brain out.
There's no muscle movement. They can't lift their arms because they don't have the part of the brain that allows you to do this.
It's scary.
Are they zombie children?
They're not zombies. The zombies
have to die.
No.
Zombies actually have more to them than these children.
Potentially, if you look at the George Romero ones, they can learn how to like answer the telephone. You know, everything.
It depends which sort of zombies that you're talking about.
I'm talking
vampire robot Nazis that are also, vampire robot Nazis that are also zombies that are also Chuck Norris,
and ninjas, and pirates.
You keep looking forward at that screen. You know this one.
Hey, I'm talking directly to Khan. I know that's where the camera is, but the camera isn't working.
The microphone is on this screen. Khan is on that screen. And he keeps rocking forward and getting closer to that screen.
But that's I can only see you on this big screen. I'm you look very big. I can see right up your nostrils.
Okay. Here's my
finally see a chin. I finally see his chin because normally the bottom of his chin is cut off. You know. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah. So sometimes you've had it so you can only see the top of your head.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, about that. That's about right, though.
Yeah.
A little bit higher than that. Yeah. I assumed you didn't have a chin. You know, it was kind of like a 50-50 thing. You obviously do have a chin now.
Well, my beard. I don't want to make all the lazies too crazy with it. They tend to stop listening to what I'm saying, and they just get memorized by the nice, fluffy, soft beard.
So anyway, back on topic.
So it's like a woman who covers up her cleavage.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, well, I think that when you look about universities,
I attempt to do every week except the week that Max managed to not dry my top in time. It's totally your fault.
Yeah, but hang on. You've got two of you here, right? Two of you here. So
only have three.
Well, you don't have to. Last week you didn't because you had a problem, right?
No, but that last week wasn't normal. Pike's usually here, and AJ, he's only been on 1 or 2 episodes, I think.
I just had like a nice long Fallout 3 marathon, and I finally completed it this week. But
do you know what, we might have to start thinking guests.
Who would you what?
I tried to get 2 MRAs on here to speak for the MRAs, right? And that didn't pan out. So
yeah,
maybe they're scared. Maybe they're
well, no. Hannah said she had to do something this weekend, so she wasn't even. Yeah, I'm not going to say what she was doing, but because she said in a private message or a direct message,
personal thing. So don't.
Yeah, if she said it publicly, I would say it publicly because she already said it publicly. But since it was in a private message, I'm not going to say like what her answer was. I never got back by, I think, Jack Barnes. Is that his name?
Oh yeah, I'd love to have him on because I do follow him.
I asked him. I tried to get him on, but Jack Barnes. He never got back to me. So I mean,
no, to be fair, he's often quite busy.
Yeah.
Having
I'm not.
Same
this is not a slight on them. It didn't work out today.
Everywhere.
It just didn't work out this weekend. Maybe I didn't give them enough time or information. Maybe I can schedule something long down the road with someone.
Or maybe we.
I'd like to have Christina Hofsummers and
that would be pretty impressive.
That would be impressive.
On at the same time. I think that would make it beautiful.
Yeah, we're not in that league though.
Well, you know what? Neither is Anton. And even though he has a micro penis, or sorry, a nano penis, he managed to get Christina Hofsummers on.
Have you seen it?
I talked to her. I'm in that episode.
No, I'm talking about his penis. You've seen it.
No, his wife talks in her sleep.
Well, you've seen her then, I guess. Okay, going back to the topic, right? When it
my point here is that I agree with Sargon, and I don't think that it's censorship. I think what it is it's holding them to a higher standard. If you're going to make me pay for something, it should be factual, or you need to label it as a theory. Like, this is our hypothesis. This isn't a scientific theory because there hasn't been a whole lot of peer review, but this is the idea. This is the thoughts behind the idea. Now let's discuss it. Who sees a problem with this, right? That's how it should be directed in school. When you have someone come in within a position of authority and tell you something's a statistical fact, when it's just something they made up to inflate a number, to make people all worried and scared for no fucking reason, that's a fucking problem.
Okay,
that's not what the petition says.
Deep breaths.
That's not what the petition says.
I think it is censorship because it's stopping all courses, whereas I think what he actually wants and means is regulation.
Yes. Now,
that's I'm fine with.
And I think that Woolly Bumblebee and the others would be fine with regulation. So the course that I did, Cora, that really smells.
I know. Sorry, our dog just let one rip. It's really nasty.
He blamed it on the dog again.
This one really is the dog. But basically, right, investigation. Right. The thing is, the petition is not worded correctly in the sense of what does he want? Because you're saying,
I'll agree to that. I'll agree he should have worded it better.
He hasn't defined what social justice warriors courses are.
Because it's he has to take this to a court. He has to take it to the Parliament, right? Because I'm guessing it's the UK based.
No, it's just a change.org. He's just going to take these to the universities themselves, which isn't going to work because they want money.
So you have to define.
Why would they stop courses that people are willing to
You have to take it to somebody who is essentially governing body.
What has to define it is students have to rally against their own colleges and universities.
Which is happening, which is starting to happen in places.
They're starting not to go to universities and colleges.
Yes.
Right?
What
they need to do is, while they're actively paying, demand their money back.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's what they need to do. Hey, I was guaranteed that now Woolly Bumblebee and what I listened to, and I tried to listen to her one that she posted this morning that was 3.5 hours long, that was about her argument last night or whenever it was. I'm a little cross on dates, but anyway, I listened to that one, and one of the things she said, and as I'm saying it flies out of my fucking head.
I remember it.
Go ahead, talk. I'll think of it.
Well, now I've bloody forgotten, haven't I?
The only one left to match.
So what? Now I've remembered. So my course, my degree, my bachelor's is regulated by the Engineering Council. The Engineering Council endorse my course. There are engineering courses out there that are not endorsed. So I chose one that was endorsed because that allows me to become a chartered engineer through that course. They do not censor because they do not stop lower quality courses from existing. Whereas what Sargon is advocating for is to stop all courses regardless. He doesn't care if they're particularly good quality or bad quality.
Censoring because he wants an overhaul of the whole damn thing. He's thinking that there's such a huge problem.
But he wants to stop them. So all the kids that are currently, all the guys at university who are currently at university are going to get thrown off their course this year. So that he can spend them all.
I think you'd finish off the course you're currently taking because different courses start at different times, right?
So all the courses for next year, where some people have already signed up and paid some money for.
Well, no, because you get that money back, or that's in limbo. So you have it in credit, right?
You're screwing up a lot of.
But look at
Whereas I would say that regulation, we should have.
I think he's wrong to have the petition. Sorry, I think he's wrong to have the petition. And the way he worded it, but I don't think it's censorship. So in that, I think he's right. I think what he's trying to do is stop it, overhaul it, so you no longer teach kids this incorrect information. Shit, that's a belief, right? It's a fucking religion that they're teaching as
label them
fact.
correctly.
No, the thing is,
label them as ideology, not as
here's what's happening. Here's what's happening, right? These youngsters are going to universities, right? They're going there fresh-faced. They don't have an opinion in this regard. They're human.
They haven't learned to properly question.
They go to university, right? And they go, okay, well, what am I going to do? Okay, well, we've got this gender studies. You've got this, because that's generally what we're talking about here. We're talking about social justice classes. We're talking about gender studies.
Next question. Right? Why would you
and history?
But you're looking at these classes, right? And they're going there, and they're going fresh-faced. They don't have these they're not too concerned with things. They're going there. They're being indoctrinated. They're being sat down, told a pack of lies, right? They've been told this. That is indoctrinated. They're getting traumatized. They are literally getting abused. It's like imagine someone who's taking somebody else and they're in a relationship with, and they're abusing them. It's essentially they are traumatizing them.
I don't think anyone is objecting to the problem. I think we all agree that there's a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
The solution.
So let's table that because we all agree that's a problem.
A ban is not the way to go forward. An investigation is the way to go forward because and the reason being
he wants to ban
he wants to ban it.
No.
I thought you wouldn't just want to ban it.
No, he wants to ban while it's a temporary suspension.
Okay.
While they debate and investigate.
Okay, well, I would say that maybe he is right.
He hasn't made it clear his boundaries.
Yeah.
He hasn't made it clear when he says a temporary ban. Well, how can they stop being banned?
Okay.
And how does this stop from being a permanent ban, which is what Woody and that lot were saying? This is censorship. How is this different from an outright ban? Because you have not stated your terms.
I'm going to use something extreme. It's going to be an extreme analogy, and you're going to take from what you are, and it's probably going to be people going, "This isn't right." Say you were taking an ISIS class. And
an ISIS
class. We have an ISIS class in university, right? And it teaches people about, to be members of ISIS, right? And we think, well, maybe we should investigate this, and we need to suspend it because we think that they are involved in terrorist activities. So let's suspend it and investigate it because we don't want these kids who are. We're not going to let it carry on or investigate. We're going to suspend it because we want to nip it in the bud now. Because if we suspect it is what it is. It's a terrorist organization or teaching these kids terrorist ideology, then maybe we need to stop this right this moment, investigate. It's like if someone is committing a crime, and maybe that these universities are committing a crime because they are actually indoctrinating these kids, they are actually traumatizing and abusing these kids, right?
These kids are chosen.
No, but they've done it in good faith. These kids have done it in good faith, right? Yeah, they're paying for something and they're being lied to. And they're not aware they're being lied to.
So let's take another analogy. You're a teenager and you've picked a course, and someone somewhere in authority.
You have it in good faith. The person in authority.
Yes, that's true.
someone in an authoritarian position has come along and said, you may not take that course that you have chosen, that you think that you know is best for you, surely that child is going to, or that young adult is going to be pretty angry and feel pretty badly against the authorities.
They get taken aside and say, we are very sorry, but we should have had more care. We should have had more care because the person we put in front of you to teach you is actually teaching you something that is fundamentally wrong and is actually abusive towards you. And we apologize, and maybe we should refund you some of that money. Maybe that's what it should be looked at.
Firstly, they would get, but firstly, that's very naive to think that they're going to get this one-to-one treatment. And secondly, it doesn't.
Why not? Why can't?
That's even worse.
You take the whole class to one side and you say, look, you've been taught something that is fundamentally wrong and it's actually abusive
are still going to feel, because you've just told these kids that the choice that they made was wrong. No, they're going to feel pretty shitty.
No, they never made the wrong choice. They made the choice they chose. Yeah. Right? They made a choice, right? The university made the wrong choice from the person they hired.
They chose that course for a reason.
They may have chose that course, but they didn't choose to be lied to. As a matter of fact, when you pay for an education, you expect that education is going to be beneficial, not just in the sense that you're going to get a degree and earn money, but that the information you're given is accurate, because you don't want to be taught some stupid, crazy bullshit and find out later you're just talking out of your ass.
It's still a pretty big kick in the teeth.
It's not a kick in the teeth. As a matter of fact,
so I signed up for a course at uni.
Why not? Why can't it be a kick in the teeth? Even if it is a kick in the teeth, why can't it be a kick in the teeth? But it's a fact of life.
You now left these kids in limbo.
No.
So what I'm saying is, should you suspend them, or should you allow them to continue and do this investigation anyway, while still allowing them to continue? Because these kids have made this choice, they've made the decision, and they've accepted. They have accepted the courses as they are.
They've accepted them as facts.
Blaise, they haven't taken the courses as they are. And Blaise, it's like this. Let's say you go to a restaurant, right?
To gender studies doesn't know that it's going to be fairly biased.
Would you continue to eat the food that somebody has stuck their dick in it?
I was just about to make a restaurant reference.
You two think way too similar.
I'm going to use the milk button in a minute. Okay? If you go to a restaurant and you order, let's say, the pizza, right? They make the best specialized pizza ever, right? And they come out and say, I'm sorry, but we found a dead rat in our dough. We cannot make you the pizza. We could have served it to you, but we chose not to because it's not helpful to you. It's going to, in fact, harm you, and we would never serve anyone bad food. Would you say, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to make you something similar to what you ordered. We're going to make it to the best of our ability. It will take a little longer. Please bear with us. We apologize for your extra weight. Right? You will feel better about that restaurant because they looked out for your interest. Right? Over them just making money. Because it's easy just to keep teaching the same old crap that's been disputed time and time again. Right? It's easy to serve food that's 3 days old. Right? Because you don't want to lose money as a restaurant for that. But when a restaurant cares more about its customers than making the most amount of money possible, right? When they realize that they're going to make more money being the best restaurant rather than just selling everything it can, you're going to go to that restaurant more and more often. And colleges need to be the same way with their coursework. If I go to take a medical class, right, and they're teaching me about nephrology, right, like the bumps on your head, and they teach me that this has this, like, all this fact, and they have this doctor who blah blah blah, right? And all this shit is lies. You just swindled me out of my money.
Okay, here's another thing, right? Imagine you were trained to be an anesthetist, right? And you were taught the right milligrams. An anesthetist, someone who basically an
anesthesiologist. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit pissed, so that's one thing.
No. Actually, I think this might be a analysis of words thing. I think you're both right.
Okay, but basically you were taught the right milligrams, right? You go to a class, right, and you're taught by a professor the perfect milligrams. You take into the thing. These are the right milligrams. This is what you use, and then you find out. Hang on a second. They're teaching them what the type of what they would give people would kill them. Do you carry on with the course and say, well, we'll continue as it is, or do you stop and completely review what it is you've been taught? Because people's lives are on the line. And I know that might be somewhat extreme, but my point is that these youngsters... And
you know, hold on. Stop for a minute. It's not extreme. Because if you become a social worker and you're taught that only men rape, right, and only men, white men, molest children, you're going to ignore the children that are molested by their mothers or their aunts or their female babysitters.
And this is an issue.
That's almost just as bad.
You will never solve the problem because you don't actually acknowledge the problem.
See the problem in
you
the first place.
you don't. But again, it's a case of I can see both sides. Yes, there is a freedom of speech attitude, but the more, of course, I'm discussing, because I say I've not.
Well, he's not saying you can't. He's not saying you can't. You can't talk about these things at a college, right? He's just saying, right, that you shouldn't force someone to pay for a bunch of lies.
But they also
now, if they want to talk. Now, hold on. There's this protest that this is captured on YouTube, right? These girls are anti, right? They're pro-birthers, and they have their sign, and they're holding it out on the college campus, right? So for people to see. And a feminist, she gets all mad at this, and she literally steals their sign from out of their hands and says, "You can't hold this here." And she goes walking into her class, and some of her classmates block the girls from getting their sign back. She literally stole from them. Now, the cops didn't have a problem with her there. Security didn't have a problem with them on the campus, right? It was a free speech issue, and they stole her sign. Now, that's censorship. Now, that teacher should have been fired. And had it been me, I'd have beat the shit out of her. I don't give a flying the fuck that she's a woman. You steal from me, I'm going to fucking come after your ass.
So there's a couple of points I'd like to raise.
Go ahead.
I hope I can remember them all. So firstly, someone in the comments has said that Sargon was kind of basically this temporary suspension was on the basis that he would then have an investigation, and if they were found to be teaching factually incorrect, they would then be banned.
I agree with that.
Without the ability for them to reform.
Well, there isn't anything to reform.
Yes, there is.
There isn't.
A
lot of people.
You're not giving them. You're not. So you give them the chance.
They would have to change. They would have to fundamentally change their belief system.
So he is effectively using his temporary suspension to basically just outright ban these things, which I'm not hugely comfortable with. Not only that, but my other point. So during my video, I mentioned something called ultra-libertarianism. So Lauren Southern, she said something in one of the videos I watched her and Sargon talking, and she said that she would allow any business to be racist because the free market would then sort it out. Which I actually don't agree with if you're in an area where it's socially acceptable to be racist. But my point is that I believe, now I don't want to put words into her mouth, but I believe that on that basis, extrapolating that out, that Lauren Southern would probably, and so the ultra-libertarian idea that has been inspired by Lauren Southern is that the free market will sort this out and we don't need to do anything, and just, you don't need to close these down. And we're already seeing universities where they're having a massive decrease in students going to them because they're being social justice warriors.
But the problem I have with that is that you've then got some students who are going to go to it, and it's kind of like,
and that's their choice.
No,
at the end of the day,
I want to address something in the comment section.
Okay.
Chris says, I like Sargon, but I sort of think of him as the bad guy from the 90s movie The Postman. Actually, I think that was in 2001-ish. Anyway, with Kevin Costner in the post-apocalyptics, he would be a tyrant. I disagree. I think he tries to be an altruist. I think he is highly intellectual. I think he knows what he's talking about most of the time. I disagreed with him. Like, I think Dr. Randermacam totally took him to town on the logic train, right? About why they should change the name from MRA and drop that label.
I am a bit concerned.
I don't watch Sargon. Hold on, I don't watch Sargon, but that is actually a really good movie, The Postman. I have seen it several times.
He is human.
Can I am concerned that he has got himself for several reasons. So firstly, I'm concerned that he is too dependent on the income of his stream, so that he has almost become ultra dependent on it. He can't change the narrative. He's become like Anita Sarkeesian. She's been stuck into this echo chamber. So
she didn't get stuck in it. She created it, and she loves it there.
And Sargon has done the same. His channel is built on a narrative. So he is just taking the next logical step. It's become an echo chamber. And I'm concerned.
They kept resorting to the same ad hominem.
And I am concerned that he is going too far, and that he has started to
sacrifice his morals.
He has started to sacrifice his morals, and he started to become the authoritarian that he disagrees with.
It's potentially.
And I'm concerned he's becoming the very social justice, because he's going, ban all these things because think of the children.
But I do think he's the type of person that if you were to discuss that with him, he might just go and sit down and go, you know what?
I would really hope
maybe there's something in this, and I need to go back to my principles.
Yeah.
So I'm going to point out to say that I do not watch Sargon's videos. I am not a fan of his. I do not follow him. I do, however, have started because followed Woolly Bumblebee, right? And I like her, right? And what I really love about Woolly Bumblebee is that she had on Kevin Logan. Now, personally, I think he's a dumbass. I do not like this guy.
I agree with you.
I think he's a moron. But she was willing to have him on as a guest or a host on her show. He's been on there several times. And someone says, I can't believe Kevin Logan's on. I couldn't believe that he was on that show either, right? What I love about Woolly Bumblebee is the fact that she doesn't care she doesn't mind having completely opposing opposite opinions on her show. And I like that. I like that she's intellectually honest that way, that she has that integrity.
I like her because she was the first person and so far the only person to have interviewed me. And I'm very grateful for that. And to be fair, her and I got on really well. I'm really, really looking forward to disagreeing with her because it's going to be fabulous.
But I did think they kept using an ad hominem that he's a demagogue, right? They're like, he's a demagogue. It's the number one word they kept saying throughout both.
But I can see their point. I don't think it was an ad hominem. I can actually see that their point is he has become stuck in his narrative and he's now dependent on it financially, and so he's pandering to his.
Does that really make him a demagogue though, or does that just make him biased?
That when I looked up the definition of it, because I didn't know what it meant, so I looked it up, and I could totally see where they were coming from. Can
you tell us the definition? Can you read it for us?
So it was, I will find it again so that I'm reading it correctly.
Okay. So while you're looking it up, I'm going to go through some of the other comments because I did get lax on this. Karn, come on, you're high right now. No, I'm not high. I'm just in a high chair. I'm in the second floor. So, objective permanence max.
I have the definition.
Do you know what
what was that? I got a comment. Oh, this is great.
Object permanence is when you think an object stays permanent, right? Like, so babies generally do not have object permanence. So that's how when you play peekaboo, they laugh because it's like, oh, it's back.
I have no idea what this was about.
I want a baby so we can do that.
Okay. What was this in reference?
I actually have met a baby. Like we're talking like 3-4 months old.
You've met
a baby. I've never seen that before. Go ahead.
Okay, wait. What's this about? Because I
scroll up.
Oh, there's an up button. Okay, there we go. Oh, cool. I get my first kind of. Okay.
Are you going to come on these more often? Just so
no. I'll probably just go downstairs and play video games. You know.
I can't remember where I saw it.
I can't.
So anyway, a demagogue.
It's gone. It's fine.
A political leader who seeks support by appealing to popular desires and prejudices rather than using rational argument. So they are saying that he is appealing to his audience because that's what makes him money. And to be fair, it's not like they're the only ones that they've targeted for this. I definitely know that Woolly Bumblebee has accused particularly feminists of doing this. Anita Sarkeesian would be a very good example of this. She appeals to what she thinks is going to make her money.
Yeah,
but that's her entire premise.
That is her
Sargon was never about that. He was speaking his mind.
Sargon is now wholly dependent on his YouTube channel.
That's where it gets scary.
I agree with Chris.
And I am terrified. I'm terrified that I may become like this one day. Because if my YouTube channel keeps a roof over my head, then I would pander to people.
But then you have a full-time job.
So that, well, yeah. Yeah, it'd be a full-time job.
I think it's funny that Bumblebee
that they disagree with.
She says
that would be terrifying.
She says in her thing, she's like, "Wow, since we started, I've lost 10 subscribers," and she laughed at us.
10? A whole 10?
Fine, yeah, a whole 10.
Wow, that's how many did she gain? Surely she's gained.
I don't know. Well. Maybe she did. I don't know. I follow her because of you, because I like the conversation she had with you, and I like that she had Kevin Logan on, even though I don't like Kevin Logan. He says I'm his enemy because I like Thunderfoot. If you like Thunderfoot, then you're my enemy. Blah blah blah. Like, what kind of Nazi fucking mentality is that?
I need to go.
I think a lot of his arguments are complete bullshit.
Most of it.
Fine.
So
but I don't mind. I don't care if anyone has him on, right? She was even like, why shouldn't I have Kevin Logan on? Like, you should have people who disagree with you on. I wouldn't mind having a feminist on, like a feminist other than you, like an outcome.
You don't count. You don't count, by the way.
No.
You don't.
Okay. So
right?
yeah,
we agree on too many things.
I have unsubscribed from someone before because they had a controversial issue on, and they brought on a guest that they agreed with instead of one that they disagreed with, and I was like, that's ridiculous, because it was something that I actually disagreed with him on.
Was that like floor polish or something you just drank? Is it?
Yeah. Hold on, I want to read Chris's comment. Dr. Randermacam is right, but everyone needs some ethical flexibility at times. I totally think that's right on. If you check his stream with Wooly to the end and see his logical way, which he tried to explain her and Joe, there is no lack of demagogy. Maybe I haven't watched the whole thing.
I didn't
that's
watch
from
the
Bam
whole
Bam.
thing.
Who's Bam Bam? They were in the other show too.
I thought it was a kid from the Flintstones.
It was a kid from the Flintstones.
No. I mean the actual user. I recognize this person from. Yeah, I recognize this person from other like the Willy Bumblebee.
Well, you'll probably tell you who
he is. Is he stalking you? Or is he stalking me?
No, I think the person is just following both casts, or both channels. I think maybe I saw this person on the other show, like actually on the camera. I don't remember. Anyways, I am from Swiss. Oh, cool.
Yeah, which sucks because he means he can't sign the petition. But he said that he would promote it for me.
But he can own his own rifle.
That's hey, as if people get the thing out, I'm trying to promote it, and I'm in the UK and the US.
Yeah, as many people promoting it as possible would be fab. I'm just really. Yeah. I know it's badly worded.
I didn't write it. You know, hold on. I'm gonna do something for Bam Bam.
This is great. We got a scientist on board. We're another scientist. Are you technically a scientist?
I'm an engineer.
You're an engineer. Okay, we've got
I'm a scientist, but I don't have my degree yet. I'm working on it.
Then you're not a scientist, really.
Sure, I am. First of all, a scientist is anyone who studies science. I performed my first scientific. Hold on. I performed my first scientific experiment at 3 years old, and I got my results.
A scientist is someone who wears a white coat and gets stained all down.
That's a doctor.
No, that's maybe, but science is going to. My dad is a scientist. He had like white coats and everything. It was like crazy.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to find sample for Bam Bam. Bam Bam will get a kick out of this.
Okay, we have a biologist.
Okay.
Just on board.
Okay. Wait, wrong one.
So
I'm gonna screen share. There you go. You see that?
I see boobs.
I see boobs as well.
That's not a boob.
Or maybe some kind of domino mask.
With someone who's got that's not a no. Look at it.
It looks like a really crazy superhero.
Really hairy balls.
No, they're not hairy balls. It says biology, the only science where multiplication and division mean the same thing.
Technically, they're kind of very similar because they're like the opposite direction of each other.
I wasn't reading.
They're two cells.
I'm too drunk to read.
I know, multiplication and division. They are.
When they divide, they multiply.
Yeah, but if you look at everything,
then both cells divide, and then you have, Yeah,
but when you're looking at maths, basically multiplication, division are just extensions of addition and subtraction, and you can always just claim that all of it is addition, realistically. So maths is basically about addition.
Adding stuff up in very complicated ways.
Yes, there's simply that. And looking back on it, because subtraction is just looking back on addition. And multiplication is just addition, but just in a specific, very specific, defined way.
And retreating is really advancing in the opposite direction.
It is looking back. Yeah, see, looking back. It's subtraction. It's just looking back on addition. It's all you can break maths down to the simple addition.
I don't think I'm gonna get it to stay on that while
when you start doing second integrations and the area of inertia,
you're just trying to sound smart now.
Yeah, Bam, you're on Twitter, right? I gotta wait. Bam, are you on Twitter?
He'll answer. He's got to go all the way to Switzerland and then come back.
I'll try to put it. I'll try to put the picture as the screen cap or the thumbnail for the video. So when you go to
yes, he is.
Look up on my Twitter because I'm
assuming it's a he
at Twitter.
He did say he's a he. He says right there. You see.
And male. Okay. Wait, biologically male? Because you are a biologist, so I'm just curious. Biologically male, or is this a thing?
Send you a letter, the Twitter account later. Okay, sure. Yeah, and then I'll just send it to you. Yeah, that'll work.
Anyway, so we agree on the problem, that the problem is ideology being taught as fact by an authority.
Right.
And we've debated our solutions.
Right.
So we think regulation is better, or are we quite happy with Sargon's let's just ban it?
I think that perhaps, like I don't really want to comment because it's so much because I haven't read it and I don't know the ins and outs of it. But certainly what was put forward is ban it. And it wasn't, if you look at it's a petition to ban social justice in universities, and that's what I took from it. Now, wording it like that, I don't think was the correct manner, because if it was, if you are trying to just ban something outright, it's a case of saying I don't like something, so I want it banned. It's
which was Woolly's point, but I think our Sargon's heart was in the right place. Oh,
absolutely. I don't think Sargon has ever done anything that is wrong. I think he's a good person. He believes in what sorry, Sargon, we love you. Honest, Sargon.
He lives down the road from us.
I don't even follow him on YouTube, man.
Oh, okay.
He lives down the M4. He lives about an hour and a half from us.
Forgive us, Sargon.
Yeah.
No,
for you Americans, that's like 5 minutes down the road, but for us, actually, that's quite a long way.
We have to cross a bridge.
Yeah, and we got to swap into a different country and everything.
Yeah, we're in a different country technically.
Because we live in Wales.
Yeah, we live in Wales.
Oh, you live in Wales? You're not even proper British.
What do you mean proper British?
No, we're not.
Proper English, you mean?
Max is not English.
I'm
Max
Welsh.
is Welsh,
I'm
and I am
Welshman.
English, and I live in Wales.
Yes.
I'm actually half Cornish.
You're corny.
I'm half Cornish.
Which
is totally not in England,
my
despite what anyone might tell you.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it totally is.
Oh, okay, I thought that was weird. I thought it was Cornish. Yeah, because Cornish make like the best pasties ever, apparently. And like there's some places, there's like this the border of Cornwall, like this one factory that would make like the best pasties in the entire of Cornwall, and then these people who just despite them, they had the border changed ever so slightly so they no longer can make Cornish pasties. They can make pasties, they just can't be Cornish pasties.
You know, they do that in France all the time in the region of Champagne.
Yeah, sparkling wine or water or something like that.
Yeah, it's a sparkling wine. It's a sparkling white wine.
And everyone knows.
And if it's made in the region of Champagne, it's worth shitloads.
And Wayne's World taught me that. Wayne's World taught me that.
Just outside the border, then it's worth a lot less. And they shift the borders every so often. So suddenly, some farmers suddenly become multi-millionaires, and other farmers are suddenly like massively lose out.
But I think I think the best champagne is not made in Champagne.
They should take Zach Brannigan's mispronunciation and label it that Champagne. Pagan, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
let's see how many people are going to notice the difference.
We've got this.
We've made it into the pagan household. It's pagan.
A frozen foods. It's a shop. It's a franchise, and it's called Iceland, right? And they sell frozen food, throughout the UK. And if you go to the alcohol section, they've got this kind of it's called Brand X, right?
The alcohol is not frozen.
No.
I'd like to caveat.
Okay, the alcohol's not frozen. They got this liqueur, right? They call it liqueur in like the worst possible way. It's called Brand X, and it's a brandy flavored liqueur. It's not even brandy liqueur.
What's
it's
a liqueur?
Liqueur. Oh, like
40% alcohol.
Okay. No. Liqueur is almost like a
They're normally quite sweet,
syrupy kind of alcohol. Like you might often get cherry liqueurs and apricot liqueurs. It's quite nice stuff. But this stuff is I'm even sure it's technically a liqueur, but it's brandy flavored. It's not actually brandy liqueur. It's like somebody's made moonshine, right, and thickened it up with syrup. That's basically the stuff, right? And flavored it and chemically created the flavor of brandy and covered it. It's disgusting stuff. But for some reason, I bought a bottle, and I think I gave it to my brother. And I think it's still in my brother's. Where my brother lives, I think it's still in his house.
Hello, do you have a point?
No, but maybe. But I don't know. I've gone off on a tangent. Okay, let's go back to Sargon, right? I think that Sargon is a good person, and I think he's basically he has the best intentions for everything.
I think he definitely has the best intentions, but
just because he messes up,
so do social justice warriors.
I don't agree with that.
Paved with good intentions.
I think social justice warriors are getting.
I think
vast amount of them are led by narcissists and psychopaths, and that's what generally is. I
personally think that Sargon might have made a faux pas in this situation.
I agree.
And I think that his petition could be tweaked, and I think he actually wants regulation rather than censorship.
Yeah, I don't think he wants censorship. I think that argument was bullshit.
But
his
standing there and saying this is not censorship and arguing till he's blue in the face, I'm not convinced that's doing him many favors.
I don't think Woolly Bumblebee and her, group of people, whatever, I don't think they were being intellectually dishonest. I don't think they really let him, he kept trying to, they complained that he kept trying to speak over everybody. And I don't think he was trying to do that. They mentioned that he how old he is and that he has lost hearing in one of his ears or something. So that's why he was talking loud. I don't think he was trying to dominate the conversation as not let them misinterpret what he was saying. He's like, no, this is what I mean here. But I didn't watch the whole thing. At some point I was just out because everyone was yelling over everybody.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing was getting clear. They couldn't. I think it was very hard for them to understand his point of view, right, and where he was actually coming from. I think they may have seen half the picture, but not the whole thing.
Yeah,
I think the same thing of him. But when he came on, right, because there was 40 minutes before he came on, they were like, well. Oh no! It was 40 minutes that they were saying that I said to come onto my show, right? Because she wanted him to be able to give to back up why he was saying this, why he was doing this, and again, there's all props to Woolly Bumblebee for doing that because she said I disagree with this person. Okay, I want him on the show so he can back up his points because if I'm seeing something wrong, I want to be shown that I'm something wrong. So again, I don't think either one. Hold on, I don't think either one were being intellectually dishonest on purpose. Yeah. I think some straw mans were made on Woolly Bumblebee's side, not necessarily just one Woolly Bumblebee, but on her side. But I don't think those were intentional straw mans.
I agree. But the bits that I saw, I felt that Sargon was sometimes being a little bit up his own arse. And sometimes he was reduced to calling them names. He was blatantly just calling them things.
Well, he said, if you believe this, then you're stupid. But they did the same thing this morning on the show. He said, look, you're the stupidest person in the world. You're the stupidest person in this chat, right? And he was talking to someone who said, if you believe in and the guy was right. He was calling him stupid, but he was right? And that the guy was wrong. right?
I
Because
just felt that Sargon's better
if
than that.
A, just because you agree with A doesn't mean you also agree with B and C. That's bullshit. That's a logic fallacy. And that's an obvious logical fallacy.
So the big thing I really took from this, because I did see Sargon did have a couple of flaws, the massive thing that has really hit me is Sargon is human.
Yeah, I think.
Oh my
I think
God,
the problem is
he's a person.
It's the whole. If you put
Wow.
put people on pedestals.
Hold on. You just said something. I want to know what it was. You said there's something he said that was wrong. I want to know what he said that you thought was.
There were some things he said that that I didn't think were of him, that I thought were beneath him.
Okay.
Okay, let me ask you this.
The calling the people the names, the being, and to be honest, the fact that he stuck to his point, and he claimed that he'd won things when he clearly, it wasn't that clear cut. There were just things where he started being a little bit narcissistic. Yes, so it looked like it started to look like he was being a little bit narcissistic and a little bit
right. But here's the important question.
A little bit up his own arse. But he's a person. He's human. Oh my God.
Blaise, fine. But here's my question. Did you find any flaw in his logic or premises?
Yes.
Can you tell us what those are?
I think that what he was doing was a form of censorship, and I think that he was being a little bit hypocritical.
Okay, we have another thing we disagree on. Yay!
So I could totally see Willie and her posse's point that if this had been done by someone that Sargon disagreed with, he probably would have massively stood against this. But because he's doing it and he understands, but then social justice warriors, they do things with good intentions. They do things for the right reasons.
See, I don't think they do. I think they do it for their own political reasons. I think they do it for themselves.
I don't think you can say that of all of them.
Well,
and yes, so there's no such thing as a purely generous and selfless act. Everyone does something because it makes them feel good.
I think when it comes to social justice warriors, there's a whole spectrum of different groups, right? You have the narcissists who are basically doing it because they love themselves. You have
They're
those
generally in charge.
Yeah, you have those. Yeah, you have
justice or social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors, right? Then you also have the people beneath them who have been guilted into it, so they have a huge amount of guilt complex.
And you've got the manginas.
It's a sense of the manginas who essentially they want a relationship with women, but they don't necessarily know how. Yeah, so they basically
everyone is motivated by different things.
Yeah. And I understand why MGTOW. I honestly think that, to be honest, if I never met you, I probably would have. And as soon as I found out about I started watching Karen Strong videos, I would have been perfectly happy going, you know what, MGTOW is a good thing. You know, I was fortunate I met you before. But, you know,
if we hadn't been married before I'd learned about MGTOW, I probably would have refused to marry you for your own good.
That's fair enough. It would have meant I wouldn't have to ask you as well. So, but
hold on, Blaise. If Blaise is a proper feminist, she would have asked you. It's got to be equality. So why aren't more women asking men to marry them? Why aren't more women getting on their knees?
It's a bit more of a complicated subject, but we won't go into it here.
We can do. So Max asked me to marry me on my birthday.
No, I asked you before then.
Well, you said that you were going to ask me that year sometime.
It was a different thing.
He asked me the year that my mum passed away on my birthday.
No, it was before then. It was before then.
It was feel that he was asking just to cheer me up.
Essentially what happened
was obviously we've got two different stories here.
When your mother was diagnosed, unfortunately, Blaise's mother unfortunately passed away from cancer, and there was a video. There's an advert that they used to put on television to do with cancer, but it was basically donating, trying to prevent cancer. And there was one because Blaise's mother was diagnosed with cancer twice, and she actually recuperated for the first time. But when this advert was on,
that's the worst thing. When they tell you that you've got the all clear, and then they turn around and go, "Oh no, you've got 24 hours to live." No. That's shit.
There was an advert, and there was a girl in a wedding dress, and she was sat on her bed, looking in a mirror, and saying, "I wish my mum was here." And when
that got
when your mum was diagnosed for the second time, we thought, well, we weren't sure. She said she could have something like a month to 12 months. They didn't know.
They said as short as
So we decided. Well, I said to you, we should get married as soon as possible.
So
that your mum could be at the wedding. Unfortunately, within about 2 weeks, your mum had passed away.
So we were like, well, we could just do it within 3 months. We could just throw this together and just do it.
Yeah. And so it would have been more like a, it would have been a rush.
To be fair, though, you'd told me that year. You told me that you were going to ask me that year, so it wasn't like I had half the wedding planned.
Well, no, it wasn't so much. It wasn't so much that I said I was going to ask you. I said, we were planning.
Oh, come on, Blaise. That's a load of crap. You've been planning your wedding since the 3rd grade.
I have not.
No, she was very good at planning her wedding, and it was like it was a project. It was a project. She managed it. She used that as a Have you, when she went for Georgia, have you planned anything? Well, yes, I planned my wedding. His folders.
It got me the job I do now that I absolutely love.
I mean,
the wedding that we had, because I planned it all myself, I got that job because of it. But I hadn't planned anything before then. I haven't. I kind of vaguely knew I wanted to get married, but I was more happy playing video games.
I didn't want you to basically have a wedding where your mum wasn't there, and unfortunately, it did happen.
Well, yeah.
And it was just circumstance.
We had it instead of the 3 months that we had originally maybe thrown it together. It took 2 years, though. So we got married 2 years after my mum, and there were tears because she wasn't there. Now, let's move the topic on.
Yeah, you've drunk cider and we get emotional. But
it's been 6 years. You never forget. Like, it's been 6 years since she passed away. And when people talk about triggers, like, I totally understand that, because the stupidest thing can just set me off.
But you do accept that it's your triggers are yours, not anyone else's.
The triggers are mine, and it's my responsibility. And like,
and the thing is, the more exposed to those triggers, the more that it's usually more beneficial.
Yeah,
because they won't start triggering you so much.
I'm not going to demand that my work doesn't send me to certain places because it might mean that I drive past where my mum is buried. Like, that's ridiculous, because that was the last major thing that set me off. It was like I was there in the hire car, with tears streaming down my face because I'd just driven past the cemetery. With my mum, my grandma, and my granddad all in it. Yeah, that sucked on my own because there was no one else there. It was just me in the car. That really sucked. But you know what? That's life. That's what happens. You just move on. I got stuck in a bloody traffic jam with tears down my eye, down my cheeks, and you
didn't stop off to get KFC on the way home.
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
Bye, Bam Bam.
Oh,
good night.
Okay.
To be fair, we've been going on quite a while. Are we starting?
Like, what else do we need to talk about? Because we.
I think. Okay, so far, Blaise and I disagree on it being censorship. I think it's just closing it down to overhaul and to make sure people are taught correctly. He's not saying no one can teach any of that stuff. Just they can't force a class on it, right? Like, okay, here's the difference. They try to come on Woolly Bumblebee's show, right? They kept trying to relate it to say, well, religion isn't based on fact. I said, yeah, okay, fine. But when you go to take a religion course, it's a religion, right? Mm-hmm. You're teaching beliefs people have, right? And this is the belief, this is the book. These are how people have interpreted various chapters in the Bible, the Quran, the Torah.
Yeah,
you fucking name it, I don't give a rat's
Sargon
ass.
said that he wanted to ban them too.
I don't agree with that, because the thing is, you can't ban religious studies because they are simply religious studies. They are. Like Kant says, it's not a.
He wanted to ban creationism.
Oh, whoa! Hold on.
He wanted to ban creationism and the like
But creationism is not the same as religious studies.
Yes, that's not the same thing. They're not even remotely the same.
So, yeah,
Creationism is a belief system. Religious studies is actually a study of belief.
Yeah,
so
when you're studying
theology,
when you're studying theology and multiple beliefs, I don't think he had an issue with that. But when you were taught, this is the belief, this is the truth, this is Christianity, and Jesus did rise from the dead. That's what he wants to stop that from being taught. So he wants to stop creation.
I'm just a lonely zombie.
There's no evidence of it.
Jesus.
There's no evidence. There's no historical evidence that Jesus ever existed.
There's not. There's historical evidence that lots of Jesus existed. It's a very common name. It's like calling someone John Smith. It was a very common name. It was like
hold on. Did someone put this actually perfectly? They said, okay, let's say Jesus is a compilation of people, right? Then it's not talking about a single individual, but a variation of ideas, which means there was no Jesus Christ, right? There was no actual person.
It could have been the everyman. Jesus was a common name. It could have been the everyman. It might. Well, for all we know, the reason why he was called Jesus is his whole idea is he represents the everyman. I mean, there is that possibility.
Okay. Yeah, but then he's not really the son of God at that point. He's just every guy. Like there's this whole layout.
Any of us could be the son of God.
Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. If you were to base Abraham Lincoln off that zombie movie, right?
Which we haven't seen.
No.
I haven't seen it either, but I saw the trailer.
No. Abe Lincoln was well known for his stance on zombies, vampires, and werewolves.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Right. So let's say you base it off of that Abraham Lincoln. Yes, there's an Abraham Lincoln, but if you're going by the story of the in the movie that they made with the vampires or zombies or what was it? Vampire Hunter or something?
It was Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunters.
Yeah. Okay. So if you base it off that, then that's not actually Abraham Lincoln. That's just an image of him, but that isn't him at all. That doesn't represent his presidency. It doesn't represent who he was as a person. Nothing you learned in that movie was actually Abraham Lincoln.
It's almost like history is written by the winners, and they kind of
history is written by the survivors. There's the difference.
Same thing. It's the same thing.
Because you can survive and lose at the same time.
I think you get the point.
Hey, if you've survived, you've won. I mean, now, if you think about the entire nature,
because your culture may be gone, your people are dead, you're driven into the desert for 40 years.
You're alive, you've won. You know, I mean,
and then you can write a book saying that you beat your enemy when you really didn't. You know.
Well, you wait till they're asleep and slit their throats. I mean, that's one way of doing it. You know, and then you've won. And you say, hey, I did it in a really glorious battle. I didn't sneak into their tent.
You're just quoting A Knight's Tale at this point. How would you defeat him?
In the same stream?
At night, while he slept with a big stick.
Seriously, I just...
Hang on, it's a legitimate tactic. You know? The entire fundamentals of ninjutsu is based
we do have to wrap this up. Okay, so he didn't actually say he'd ban religion. He said he wouldn't allow teaching of creationism in school, and that's religion, but that's not religious studies.
And
that's people trying to force their belief in as science, and we don't allow that
as fact. As religious fact.
And as a knee-jerk reaction, I agree with him, but I can also see Woolly Bumblebee and their posse's point that actually, like, I'm not convinced that just outright banning it is really a good idea.
Yeah, but if you go
hold on. Whether it's a good idea or whether it's censorship is not the same thing. It may be a bad idea, but
I did say in the video that I did earlier that actually the whole topic of censorship, just that one word, oh my god, we need to do an entire video just on that.
What is censorship?
What is censorship? What is it? What isn't it? The boundaries.
That sounds like a really boring video. And you know, I'm gonna start ending the show now.
Wait. You could each go look throughout history, look for an example of censorship or an interpretation of censorship,
how would you
and
know?
Talk about that.
If something's been censored, how would you know?
No, the topic of censorship.
The whole point.
You would say what this was censored. You would be able to find things, you know. What is censored?
Like, just because something's offensive just doesn't mean it should be censored.
Holocaust denial, that's censored.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. This is the thing. Or when it's taught by an authority, should it be censored?
I don't think
like
anything.
When an authority
here's censorship that we know about.
Should censor anything.
Blaise, here's censorship we know about. They don't allow smoking in children films. Because it's advertising smoking to children. Is that bad?
But they seem to allow children to smoke in adult films. Like if you've got like a 15 or something like that.
Yeah, but that's because children aren't going to see them, and adults are adults.
Exactly.
So
right, and those aren't real smoking either. Those are fake cigarettes.
So with this whole smoking, with this whole censorship thing, I do
it's
think
Hollywood. They're probably not.
You probably do have to have different rules for children as adults. Because
and is okay. Here's a case of censorship. Fox Station sent MASH a memo saying they couldn't use the word virgin because they were worried about the FCC censoring them, right? So if they didn't censor themselves, they figured the FCC might censor them.
What?
And they were like, "Wait, virgin is a dirty word? Isn't that what you want people to be?" So Radar could not say I'm a virgin. They had to find a different way of saying that.
Was this MASH the TV series?
Yes.
How old is Fox then? Fox News.
Fox is one of the first original stations. Fox,
I didn't know that.
NBC, ABC, NBC, Fox, and one more I can't think of. So yeah, back in the day, there was only 3 of them. And Fox has always been the conservative one.
Actually, ABC and CBS.
CBS, yeah, CBS.
I don't know, because I only know these things because of comic books I've had where they've advertised the comic of some cartoon on a Saturday morning on some American TV channel. And of course, this is long before the internet, so it's like we're talking like 1980s or whatnot. And so I'm like, okay, this is something that's on America. Like,
what was the other topic that we had on earlier that we said was
that was it.
Topic in its side? So we've got censorship. I'm sure there was something that we said earlier, just so I can write it down.
MGTOW, MRAs.
No, it was something in that we were like, oh, this is a whole topic all by itself. I'm gonna have to watch the stream. Can we stop it now? Just because it's long.
Yes. Yeah, I think
if this is watch the whole thing.
For anyone who's watched this entire video, just remember Anton Hill has a nano penis or smaller.
I haven't forgotten. And I'm actually trying to picture it as well. I'm trying to picture him as well. I'm thinking he kind of looks like, you ever seen Prometheus, right? The kind of the alien guy at the beginning, the engineer, right? In the cloak. I'm picturing he's like that, but he's got a very small penis.
Okay.
Very white, very pale.
I'm not sure I'm going to invite you on this again because Max has destroyed my video room. He's pulled down my green screen.
I'm sat on the sofa.
Well, he's been a wonderful addition. I've enjoyed having you on the WaterBearBrigade.
Would you like?
I do hope he's on again.
Okay.
It's because I got more personality than anyone else.
Well, it's good to have at least 3 people on, but I don't think you should have any more than 5 people on at a max.
You just like it because I agree with you. That's why.
No, we disagreed a few times.
I can't.
She doesn't like it when people gang up on her, right? And that's kind of it.
Now, this has been tough for the 3 of us, just the 3 of us, and we've been talking over each other almost the entire episode, right? They had like 8 or 9 people on Woolly Bumblebee show, so I'm not surprised there was a lot of yelling and insults and name calling and everything because, oh my God, you had to say your thing 10 times before they all heard it, and it was crazy. Which is why I dropped out of the stream because I couldn't follow anyone. Everyone was just yelling and screaming. It was like, it's late. I'm tired. Click.
So I have suggested that they just have Woolly and Sargon, and see what happens.
Yeah, that might be a much better idea.
And I've offered to moderate, and I've suggested an agenda.
That sounds like a very, very good idea.
So if you want that to happen, go find the video that I made on YouTube on my channel and promote it to Sargon and Woolly and tell them that this is a great idea and they should totally do it.
Because you just want to get on a show with both Woolly Bumblebee and Sargon.
Yeah, because
so you can communicate and say, I'm one step closer to Mila.
You need to put up a hidden cam because You're gonna see Blaise there just rubbing one out, moderating between the two.
I know.
He's sitting there like with a little vibrator.
And you totally know I would sneak the petition in at some point and be like, yeah, don't forget, sign the petition! Because I was actually thinking how I was going to sneak the petition in earlier if I did host it.
Here's a petition. You just like smacking with it.
Willie's well on board with the petition. She wouldn't mind.
Yeah, you could do double team him. You know, you could slap him across the face, but say, why have you signed this position? You know,
yeah.
Why have you promoted it? You don't care about male rape. You don't, do you? You know, you're big hairy man.
If you've watched the entire show, my hat's off to you. You are a trooper and you are a BAMF. This is the Water Bear Brigade. I'm Karn33333. This is Blaise.
I'm Blaise Wilson, part of the Egafem community. So all my details are in the thing below. And on Twitter at Egafem.
I'm just some random guy who sat down and started talking at everybody. This is great.
This is Max who brought me pizza and cider.
Yeah. Maybe too much cider.
Maybe too much cider.
2 out of 3 drunken idiots ain't bad, so you all have a good day.